BBC's Summer of Sport continues now with one of the great social events in the racing calendar. Live on BBC One, we join Claire Balding for high stakes and high fashion on the opening day of Royal Ascot.
For centuries now, Ascot has staged the biggest week of racing in the UK, arguably the biggest in the world. It's certainly the most traditional and it's the smartest, but if you turn up in Berkshire today, you'll be in for a shock because the whole meeting has moved 200 miles north to York. New outfit, new venue, totally new feel. This is the largest race meeting ever to be staged in the north and will bring the largest crowd to the Knavesmire since Pope John Paul II visited here in 1982. And way back in time there was a huge crowd here as well for Dick Turpin's hanging in 1739. For the next 5 days, the best racing in the world will be found here at Royal Ascot at York. Dominated by the stunning York Minster, York is one of Britain's most popular tourist destinations. It bloomed in Georgian times as it became a fashionable place to spend the season. But now it's flat racing which forms the main focus of its summer season. Thousands of people arriving by train. It takes 2 hours from London. The local pubs are going to be doing a rip-roaring business. Flowers, hats, fashion, everything will blossom during the next 5 days. We've had drizzly rain for the last couple of days, but it's brightening up now and hopefully the week will be set fair because this place has never seen anything like the fashion and the horses and the thrill that's going to descend upon it between now and Saturday afternoon. We've got 5 races live on the BBC from now until Friday, 4 of them live on Saturday in Grandstand. There are special shuttle buses from the station. No tickets available on the gates though, so don't turn up in hope. You need to book it on the website or phone up. And you can still get here for the end of the week. There are still tickets available, but as I say, do it on the phone or via the website. Well, welcome to our new studio. We're going to have the most wonderful backdrop, the paddock right behind us, the winner's enclosure behind that. As you can see, all the signage is from Royal Ascot, all their colours. The race card is as it would be if we were at Ascot, but the venue very, very different. The racecourse itself very different. And I think the whole feel of this place will be very friendly, very relaxed. It'll be a very different set of people. And hopefully some real racing enthusiasts will find that they can come for the first time to the Royal Meeting. There have been huge traffic problems though, and I've heard from trainers and spectators alike that they've really struggled to get into the racecourse. I spoke to Willie Muir, who's got Texas Gold at about 33-1 in the King's Stand, and he said earlier, well, the horse is odds against to make it here in time. He is here now, having left at 6 o'clock this morning. I think he eventually arrived at about 12:30, so 6.5 hours from Lambourne. That's how long it's been taking, which is a fair old journey, isn't it? A lot of trainers, they did send their horses overnight, and a huge crowd expected to enjoy the best racing that you will find anywhere in Europe. But sadly, not here is the leading jockey for the last 2 years, Frankie Dettori. That's because he's sunning himself in Sardinia, sitting out a 6-day suspension. So step forward the man from Streaky Bay. 24-year-old Kerrin McAvoy has his chance to shine as Godolphin's #1 jockey. Well, it was only a few moments ago that he found out what he'll ride in the St James's Palace. It'll be this horse, Shamadal, and not Dubawi. The Irish 2,000 guineas winner, who was third in the Derby, doesn't run. There hasn't been enough rain for him. Well, the headline horse in the Queen Anne Stakes is the brilliant Racti. He's won nearly £2 million in prize money and 6 Group 1 races, but he is the John McEnroe of the horse world. You do not want to make him angry. Taking him on is another equine millionaire, the New Zealand-born Starcraft. The Australian Derby winner has been burning up the Newmarket Gallops. He's now in the care of Luca Cumani. The International Challenge is unbelievably strong on the opening day. From Hong Kong, Cape of Good Hope is back. Last year, he was placed in the King's Stand and in Saturday's Golden Jubilee. The same challenge is on. Meanwhile, the Tatling is bidding to become the first back-to-back winner of the King's Stand Stakes since a horse called Gold Bridge in 1933-34. He's favourite in a big field of 17. So those are some of the people, some of the horses we're going to be looking out for. The full BBC team here is here, of course, and you'll be wondering, where's that Willie Carson? Well, the answer is he's out on the course. And Willie, the main question people are asking are, what is the big difference between Ascot and York?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Well, Claire, the biggest difference is that it's very much flatter here at York, and it goes the opposite way. This is left-handed, Ascot is right-handed. And, of course, there's been one little trouble about is that in the big handicaps, the amount of runners is just down slightly by about 3 horses. But basically, it's flat track here at York and a very, very fair track. But they had to change things here at York, and join me is William Darby, who is the clerk of the course. Now, you had problems here because they didn't have a round course to take the 2.5 mile races.
That's right, Willie. We used to have a horseshoe-shaped track, so what we had to do for the big long-distance races at Ascot was to complete the circle. We did that this time last year. We ran a race on it in May, and it went really well, and we're just looking forward to the Ascot Stakes today, which will be why we built the bend.
And it's a very, very nice bend, as you can see here, where the new grass is and the old grass, and it's a lovely sweeping turn. And it's, as you said, that you've had one race and there was no trouble at all.
No, we're really pleased with it. It's cambered, it's irrigated, it's drained, and it's a consistent radius round. The jockeys loved it in May, and we're looking forward to seeing it in action again today.
So we've had very little rain, so the ground, your stick and my stick goes in very, very little. So what are you calling the ground?
Well, it's good to firm ground. We had a dry week last week, we had a bit of rain at the weekend and a drizzly day yesterday, so it's perfect summer quick ground. We're really pleased with it and looking forward to seeing the horses run on it.
Well, thank you very much. You better go. You've got 2 minutes to catch the Queen, so William, you better go and get her. Anyway, the ground is riding good to firm, and it's very flat, as I said, so we're in for a great day's racing.
Yeah, but it sadly means that for Dubawi, who needs soft ground, it isn't soft enough for him. And we'll just have a look at the Turf Tracks information, which gives us detailed bits of the ground at every stage of the racecourse. Now, as you can see, it is all sort of pale purple, which means good to firm. Later in the week, if we do get some rain, various patches of that may turn green for good, or indeed, if the sun comes out and continues to shine, then it may be firm ground later in the week. Well, Rishi Prasad has got his top hat and tails on, and he's out in the paddock.
Yes, hello everyone. From down here in the paddock during the afternoon, you'll be able to tell from a horse's behaviour whether they're going to give their best or not, a point worth bearing in mind, in particular for the Queen Anne Stakes, when the Erin Rachty parades before the race. But the first runners to parade will be for the Coventry Stakes. That's our first race at 2:30. Trainer John Gosden sent out the brilliant Iceman to win last year. He'll be hoping his unbeaten colt Tascenda can do the same again. At 3:05, it's the King Stand Stakes. Amongst the foreign challenge for the 5 furlong sprint is the American Mighty Beau. His trainer Jeff Mullen says, "I hope we didn't come all this way for nothing." The Group 1 St James's Palace Stakes is the mile summer championship event for 3-year-old colts. Aidan O'Brien's won the race 3 times. He's got 2 runners, the unbeaten Ad Valorem and Derby Disappointment Oratorio. The second Group 1 of the afternoon is the Queen Anne Stakes at 4:20, for which French trainer André Fabre has supplemented the brilliant Velixia at a cost of £20,000 after his stunning win in the Prix d'Isfahan. And our final race is the Ascot Stakes, the only handicap of the day, with each-way payouts on the first 4 home. Trainer Mark Johnson will be hoping to fill all those places with his quartet of runners headed by Swift Sailor. A couple of non-runners to tell you about now. First of all, in the 3:05, that's the King Stand Stakes, 2 non-runners, Avon Bridge and number 10 Morning Reserves. And in the St James's Palace Stakes at 3:45, Godolphin have taken out number 2 Dubawi. They'll only be represented by Shamadal now.
Now, if you want to get in touch with us between now and Saturday, you are very welcome to do so. You can email via the website www.bbc.co.uk/racing. You can text us on 81111. Or we do have a fax machine here as well at York. I nearly said Goodwood, I'm completely confused. The fax number is 01904 707 567. We'll keep reminding you of that throughout the programme, but we will have lots of opportunity to discuss racing, or indeed to discuss fashion, or to discuss the Royals. And the Royal Procession will be happening very shortly and will be right through until Saturday. But Jim McGrath is high in the grandstand, ready to give commentary on these fabulous races, slightly smaller fields than before. But Jim, tell us about Kerrin McEvoy, because he's a man you've seen in action for a very long time.
I think he's one of the brightest young talents around, Claire. He's the man from Streaky Bay. That was where he was born. That's where the family are. They'll be watching tonight down there on satellite TV. And he's number 2 in Godolphin. He takes over from Frankie Dettori. And I think he's ready for the job. He's ready for the challenge. He's as cool as they come. Saw him about an hour ago, and he's ready for the day.
Does he feature on a tip for the day for you, Jim?
Well, I suppose Shamardell must go very, very close, I think, in the St James's Palace. In fact, is my selection there. But Chaneur is my best for the day. That's in the King's Stand. An each-way bet. It's ridden by Christophe Lemaire, who won in Chantilly on Sunday, won the Prix de Diane there. A good type of rider, and Chaneur each way is my best for the afternoon.
Okay, well, Jim has a pretty good record with Royal Ascot tips. But here, as you can see, a very familiar sight to anyone who's watched Royal Ascot before, but not to anyone who has watched York, because the Royal Procession coming down the middle of the course from between the 5 and 6 furlong marker. And we've got 4 carriages, all of them carrying 4 people. Now, traditionally, the Queen's carriage is drawn by Windsor Greys, which aren't any specific breed, but they are selected for their appearance and their temperament. And 8 Windsor Greys harnessed in pairs drew the magnificent gold stagecoach at the Queen's coronation and other ceremonial events. But the Queen today in an Ascot landau, and with the Queen in her carriage is her husband, the Duke of Edinburgh, who celebrated his birthday, 84th birthday, Friday last week. And also with the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh, we have the Duke of York and the Lord Vestey, who is master of the horse and was part of the Troop in the Colour ceremony to celebrate the Queen's official birthday last Saturday. Very animated conversation there, and the Queen will take a real interest. Actually, she's always been a keen racegoer here at York. I think she was here in 1972 when Brigadier Gerard was so utterly brilliant. And she's had runners and winners here at the August meeting. She's staying privately because obviously it's not very handy from Windsor Castle. But she did come up from Windsor this morning. In the second carriage, we have the Prince of Wales, and for the first time in a royal procession at Royal Ascot, we have the Duchess of Cornwall, who was also busy last weekend. There she is, back left. She was also busy last weekend, and she was taking part in Troop in the Colour for the first time. And the Lord Craythorne is also in the second carriage, and he is Lord Lieutenant of North Yorkshire. He's also an elected hereditary Conservative peer, and the author of several books, as well as being chairman of the Works of Art Committee. And also with the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall is Mr John Warren, who celebrated last weekend the victory of Motivator in the Derby. He was the bloodstock agent responsible for buying that Son of Montjeu. That's John Warren on the near side, and the Lord Craythorne on the far side. Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, looking very relaxed and waving to the racegoers, and you can see the spectators there lining right down the course. They're just about at the 3 furlong marker now. Now in the third carriage we've got the Lady Craythorne. We've got the Right Honourable the Lord Mayor of York, who is Janet Greenwood, Councillor Janet Greenwood, and she will be presenting the trophy for the Coventry Stakes, our first race. And also in the third carriage Mr Michael Greenwood, who I assume is her husband, and Lieutenant Colonel Sir Malcolm Ross, who is a Crown Equerry. In the fourth and final carriage, we've got the Lady Vestey, wife of Sam Vestey, chairman of Cheltenham Racecourse and master of the horse. We saw him in the first carriage, and that's Lady Vestey on the left. And on the right is Mrs. Luca Cumani, Sarah Cumani, who was a very accomplished amateur jockey, and she is married to Luca Cumani, who will have Starcraft running against Racti in the Queen Anne Stakes later. And also in the fourth carriage is Air Vice Marshal David Walker. And you'll notice that those back 3 carriages are drawn by Cleveland Bays, while the Queen's carriage is drawn by Windsor Greys. Cleveland Bay is one of the oldest British breed of horses in the UK. They're quite rare now. Now James Sherwood is alongside me, looking closely at the Queen's outfit, which is pale pink and black.
Well, the Queen's looking absolutely super in a pink coat and a pink silk dress, trimmed with black. Quite daring for the Queen to clash her pastels with her blacks, but I think this looks absolutely superb.
And the hat looks almost like it's got a top hat main body to it, do you know what I mean? And then obviously the crown as well.
Well, the hat is by Philip Somerville, who designs many of the Queen's hats, and the dress and the coat is designed by Stuart Parvin, who is a younger designer and a new designer for the Queen. I think she looks marvellous. It's rather nice to see the Queen wearing those pale colours, just like her mother, but she does tend to wear more structured, more tailored clothes, as she would do. The Queen Mother was always more diaphanous.
Diaphanous. What a wonderful word, James. That's very early in the afternoon.
It's better than fragrant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fragrant and diaphanous.
Well, you have to be quite close to know whether it's fragrant or not, whereas diaphanous you can tell from distance, I assume.
Yes.
These horses have actually been very busy because, as well as doing Trooping the Colour on Saturday, yesterday morning there was a garter service at Windsor Castle which involved 3 Ascot animals and 8 horses. The national anthem being played as the royal procession makes its way in front of the main grandstand, and they're going to sweep round right-handed in a moment or two. All of this has been practiced before, but obviously until it happens for the first time for real, it's pretty hard to tell quite how tricky this might be. The horses certainly seem to be behaving themselves, and everybody looks stunningly turned out. Those horses are being stabled at Imphal Barracks, which is in York, but as I was mentioning, a lot of them were involved in the service of the Garter yesterday, so they didn't arrive until the early hours this morning. But Her Majesty the Queen beaming broadly as she looks at a crowd that is not so familiar. I'm sure after the many years that the royal procession took place at Royal Ascot, there started to be faces that she recognised in the crowd, but they'll be very different today. And actually the Duchess of Cornwall in the second carriage, James. Now, she looked fantastic on her wedding day. She looked really smart on Saturday, and again today she's looking incredibly smart.
It looks like she's wearing a Philip Treacy showstopper. This will become her signature, I'm sure, and a very good choice for her. You know, always suits her face, the Philip Treacy hat.
Yeah, you can see it there from the top. It looks amazing, doesn't it? It's sort of almost in layers, like a cake.
I'm looking at the suit. It's that sort of really super petrol blue. It's extremely fashionable this season.
And also the important thing is to wear practical clothes for race going.
Practical but formal.
That's right.
Now this is the position, the winner's post, that the Irish trained horses have found themselves with, it has to be said, monotonous regularity this season. And Brian, you had a rare blip, the Irish, at the last meeting with the Oaks and the Derby going elsewhere. What happened?
Just wasn't good enough, Lydia. No excuses, and we must leave the English horses win some races. But we've come to Royal Ascot at York with a good balanced team this week. We're looking forward to a very historic week. You know, we have Marcus Andronicus in the first, although back home this morning, everybody at home is talking about this John Gosden horse, Two Sender, number 13, who was very impressive, of course, on his debut start at Newbury. But Marcus Andronicus, we were talking before racing, he was very impressive here at York. So he's a price, he's 9-2, 5-1, must have a big chance as well.
And what would you say is your banker bet for Ireland this week?
I think Azamor tomorrow. I'm looking forward to see him against Ouijabord. I'm a big Azamor fan. I think it's significant that His Highness and John Ox have kept him in training as a 4-year-old. I had a nice run behind Grey Swallow and the Tattersalls at the Curragh, so he's one to look forward to tomorrow. And of course we have Vinnie Rowe on Thursday in the Big Gold Cup, and then Damson on Friday.
Yes.
So we've lots to look forward to. But obviously this afternoon in the Satchel, but whether he's good enough to beat Shamardle is a matter of opinion. But there is a certain confidence from the David Watchman team. He certainly has improved from France, so he's one to keep a close eye on as well in the Satchel.
And how about in the Ascot Stakes? Anything from there? Aidan O'Brien runs Coconut Beach or so. Dermot Weld has got one in their Lowlander.
And Tony Martin has won
Tony
as well,
Martin,
and he's won the race before with Babacar Ram, so that they all have each way chances without telling people at home to go and back him. They've each way chances. I thought Coconut Beach at 10-1 was a big price this morning. A little each way, and Coconut Beach ran well, I think, in the Chester Cup. He might run a real good race under Kieran Fallon. Coconut Beach.
Well, this is where you'll find the Irish this week if the past season has been anything to go by. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Now, this is the position, the winner's post, that the Irish trained horses have found themselves with, it has to be said, monotonous regularity this season. And
Lydia and Brian talking about the Irish Challenge for the next 5 days, and we revealed as the programme came on air that Godolphin had made the decision to run Shamardel rather than Dubawi. Now, the man next to me who's come in from the cold, you were pretty confident Shamardel was always going to be their choice, and I know that you've tipped him for today's big race.
Well, the ground's a little bit on the firm side for the other horse, so it was always going to be Shamardel. I know that the race is coming very soon after, well, it's only 10 days.
Yeah. After the French Derby.
After the French Derby, and you know, hopefully he'll get his own way again today. And I think that he's got a great chance of winning. I really do.
And what do you think of our new studio? Do you like it?
It's very smart, a bit like yourself, Claire.
Oh, well, Willie, and you too. Mutual congratulations, Society. Let's quickly move on to fashion, because the studio is big enough to incorporate us all. We heard from James Sherwood earlier. We can see him now, and he mentioned how popular Petrol Blue is and is wearing it himself. And also Susie Perry and Linda Barker.
Thanks very much, our fashion writer James Sherwood and Linda Barker today. And very well poised to answer my first question, because both of you are originally from Yorkshire, and what everybody's talking about in the fashion world, is there a fashion north-south divide?
Oh, well, I think so, don't you, James?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we were kind of putting our heads together early, and we definitely think the ladies in the north of England definitely try a little bit harder than the ladies down south.
Is that right?
Well, I think they do.
I think that's absolutely true.
James definitely concurs.
It's much more polished up north. When you go out in Leeds or York or Manchester, you always see the girls sort of head to toe in fantastic designer and looking $1 million. In London, it's a bit common really to dress up too much, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very much more casual, I suppose, in London, isn't it, when you go out for dinner, for example. But what about this? It's a big occasion, Ascot. You know, is there room for error here?
Well, I suppose there is, but I tell you, walking through the ground earlier this morning, I think the ladies have pulled it off. It looks fantastic. There's some great colours out there. There's hats in bright orange. You know, my favourite outfit, as I watched, was a lovely kind of floaty pink number with some black, and now the Queen, as we saw, is wearing the same thing. So there's some beautiful colours.
James, you've had a little bit of a look around this morning. What caught your eye?
Well, I think York's risen to the occasion, and there are some sort of fantastic sights, but there are also some sights. You know, you're always going to see some of the girls dressed as though they should be.
Got a beautiful green hat there.
Oh yeah, now that's a beautiful colour. That's one of my favourite colours, and that's a hot colour actually in interiors. I don't know about fashion, James.
No, it's certainly a big colour this season, and any of the brights are looking rather good.
I think the brights work here as well, Susie, because it's so grey out there.
It is very dull and quite windy today, James. Yeah. James is pulling a face, you can't see that.
I was pulling a face because there was a Dior jacket that was all logoed, and that's absolutely what you shouldn't wear at the races, is anything designer logoed. This lady looks superb. I think it's a beautiful colour for her, especially for her hair colour.
Black and white, another popular combination this year.
I'm mad about this outfit. I think it's like Cecil Beaton's Ascot scene. It's absolutely delightful, totally appropriate, which this isn't.
Oh, James, you know, I'm regretting sitting next to you every minute.
She looks as though she's going to Stringfellows, not to York races. It's dreadful.
Susie, what are we going to do?
Well, James, you're a big fan of etiquette, aren't you? I know you've. Well, yes. What about that one there?
What about that? It belongs to the top of the cake, frankly.
But do you know, I'm really glad that we are seeing those extreme hats as well. It's fun, isn't it? And Ascot's all about that too.
Well, there is a real mix, isn't there, between people that are coming here and cutting-edge fashion and people that are coming here to get noticed and have fun.
Yeah.
Well, they can sit in the car park,
can't
they?
Oh, stop it! Don't be so ruthless. Now, I'm not sure about this, James. I suppose that's your favourite, isn't it?
It's sort of a pastel teepee, but 10 out of 10 for bravery.
Costa del Sol comes to mind. But look, that's gorgeous.
Great colour.
The pinks we had a lot of last year, didn't we? Is there, we talked about that petrol blue, is that the colour of the season?
Well, I think it may be a bit lighter when I said petrol. I think that the blue is slightly lighter than that this season, actually. But all hues of blue, including navy, look really good this season.
Now, I noticed that lady was wearing red and black, which is what our Linda has come in today. That's obviously a popular colour this year too.
Be careful, James, what you say.
The dealer passes. Sorry, I can't say anything about that. No.
Now, listen, guys, we're going to talk more later on, and we're going to have a wander around and look at some of the fashions, and we're going to try and keep James under control. But there's a man who speaks from the heart, and we like that. We like that dramatic kind of chat. For now, thanks very much. Oh, I think you want my tip, don't you? I'm going to go for In the Fashion today, and what I'm going to do is I'm backing about 75% of the people who'll be at York today who don't know anything about horse racing and are going for the name. So that's us. That's the team In the Fashion in the last race. Claire.
Well, of course, the betting is a massive part of Royal Ascot. We've had the fashion and there's lots of good horses. And one of the big blows to punters this morning was the withdrawal of Dubawi. Now, that will be a Rule 4 message. What that means is if you've had a bet this morning, there'll be a 30 pence deduction if the bookmaker you had it at 9-4 or shorter, or a 25 pence in the pound deduction if it was 5-2 or bigger. So it's one of those. So now, Mike Dillon of Ladbrokes is with me here. We're going to go through the card quickly, Mike, and analyse what's on offer for the punters this afternoon. 6 races, a 2-year-old to start with, and there's a good favourite here in Tosenda that's been heavily backed, one of the market movers. You can get 5-2 here on the track this morning, but it was an early move. What's your assessment of the Coventry?
Well, I think it's a really above-average renewal of the Coventry. Tosenda is a very interesting horse of John Gosden's and Prince Khalid Abdullah's. And he plots the same graph as Iceman did last year. He won the same maiden at Newbury before coming here to the Coventry. And obviously John Gosden feels this horse is well up to the mark. There's 2 very interesting opponents. The Irish horse that Kieran Fallon rides is a very interesting horse that's second favourite. He won here earlier in the season. But there's a horse third favourite of Barry Hills, Red Clubs.
So you're going to go with Red Clubs as your positive,
yes.
And Marcus Adronicus?
I think Red Clubs is a progressive horse. He won very nicely at Newmarket, having won his maiden at Goodwood. I think he's progressive, and I think he represents the value in the race against the favourite and Marcus Andronicus. Right,
you go for Chenier, the positive in the King's Stand. That is fancied by Jim McGrath as well. The Tatlin negative?
I just think that the track might be a bit too quick for the Tattling. If it was an uphill finish at Ascot in Berkshire rather than Ascot at York, I think the Tattling would have a massive chance. But Chenier again is a progressive horse. He won well in his prep sprint at Longchamp earlier in the month, and I think he's a sporting bet. He's about 8 or 9 to 1.
Right, now Willie goes for Sharmadal. He was convinced that would be the Godolphin selected. You're with that and against Ad Valorem?
Yeah, I think with Sharmadal it's very much a question of the ground. The ground is good to firm out there at the moment, and I think with Ad Valorem, he's a horse I've been waiting for all season, but I'm disappointed Kieran Fallon's not riding him. If he'd have been really flying, I think Kieran Fallon would have ridden him. But Sharmadal, I know he's got a bounce back from winning his French Derby, but he's a good horse on top of the ground. He's got great attitude, and I think he'll win.
Right, now Radke you go for, and you're negative against the field. Positive Radke. I actually fancy the French horse, so I'm going to go against you. I'm going to go for Valerix, and I think that might win. I think that's the value, but Radke is a popular favourite. What price do you think it'll start, Mike?
I think it'll probably start about 4 to 5. I think people will think, well, he's got a few idiosyncrasies. He's a bit quirky. He's got to travel across from the racecourse stables. But Michael Jarvis is a very clever man, and I'm sure that his jockey Philip Robinson has thought all this through. And he's a high-class horse. I know he's not won back-to-back races for a long time, but what he did at Newbury, I can't get out of my mind. I'd have to be with him.
And one more race on the TV. That's a popular one for bookmakers, the 20-run the handicap with a lot of runners there.
Yes, I think Leg Spinner's a very interesting horse from Ireland. That was an eye-catching reappearance, and I think he might have just been laid out for the race.
Well, that's Mike's views. Very quickly, the market movers. The favourite's been strong here to Sender, but you can still get 5-2 here on the track. Later on, Striking Ambition, good support for that one. On the exchanges, a very positive for Moss Vale. That was very interesting. That's an outsider at 16s that could run well. The St James's Palace, well, the market's reformed after Dubai being an on-runner. Radke and Balixir. It's those two against the field. I think most bookmakers will think if we can get those two beat, we'll have had a great day. Coconut Beach, Contact Dancer and Penny Pictures. An interesting mover, an outsider in a 4.55. So that sums up what's a very lively betting day down here in the ring.
Well, it's been lively already, largely with the news from Godolphin that Sharmadal is going to be their representative in St James's Palace and not Dubawi, which was the horse we thought they would run all week. Well, Rishi is now with Godolphin's racing manager, Simon Crisford, and can ask him more.
Yes, Simon, just saying that he's obviously come to the decision that Dubawi is not going to run, Simon, and Sharmadal is. Can you take us through the process of how you made that decision, how the team made it?
Yes, well, we walked the track on Saturday and we felt the ground was perfectly safe. But on Sunday morning, we were expecting significant rain leading into this race. That hasn't materialised. Obviously, they've turned the taps off and they're not watering. So Sheikh Maktoum decided that it was in the best interests of Dubawi for him not to run. And we're going with Sharmadal, who's in great form.
Is it a disappointment that Dubawi doesn't run?
Of course it's a disappointment because he's a great horse and we love him to death, but there's some big targets later on in the season, including the Breeders' Cup Mile and races like the QE2. And although the ground is very safe here today, right now we felt that Chamadel was the right horse to represent the firm.
I must ask you, has an Italian jockey, Franco Dettori, been in touch at all since he went away to Sardinia?
Well, we talked to him just as he was getting on the plane to Sardinia, but I'm sure right now he's sitting on the beach with the television right next to him with an extra long cord.
Simon, good luck for the rest of the week.
Thank you very much.
I'm feeling rather envious of Frankie Dettori now, although it will be incredibly frustrating for him to sit on the sidelines and watch these good horses being ridden by Kieran McAvoy. As much as he likes the man and much as he's helped him out, it's a pretty awful position to be in, but it does mean Ray Cochrane can focus fully on his job at the BBC this week. He is Frankie's agent and you haven't got to get any rides for him, and he's in our paddock box with Ian Bartlett.
Well, I don't have to get any rides for him, but at least I can concentrate on what I'm doing here and put a lot more into it and give Barty a lot more help.
And I guess the big question is, who's going to be top jockey this week? I mean, Frankie's won it for the last 2 years, one of the most successful jockeys at Ascot, but who rides York best and who's going to be the leader at the end of the week?
Well, I think you're going to have to need a lot more luck here, but it depends on which jockey makes the most use of the tackle they've got. And I think Jamie Spencer's got a lot of very, very good rides.
I would just point out as well that over the last 5 years, percentage-wise, Johnny Murtagh has got the best record, 21% strike rate at the Royal Meeting since '99 through to 2004, so perhaps he might have a good chance as well.
Well, if you want to have a bet on the leading jockey for the week, London clubs are sponsoring this. Kieran Fallon is the 7-4 favourite, Kieran McAvoy 11-4, Jamie Spencer 11-2, bit more value. Johnny Murtagh is 8-1, Richard Hughes, who's got great rides for Khaled Abdullah, is 9-1, and Mick Kinnan, who another former leading jockey here, as is Johnny Murtagh, is 10-1, and longer price than that, Philip Robinson, who rides Rakti, he's 20-1. So there are people who are going to have winners this week. We could have a very unfamiliar name at the top of that list.
Well, it could do, but Mick Kinnan's the one that interests me at 10-1. That seems a big price for Mick Kinnan. You know, he's got Azamor, who possibly one of his bankers, and he's the wise old jockey, isn't he? He knows York very well, and of course he knows the occasion, and he's got 1 or 2 decent rides.
Well, the other big hot competition is going to be who's going to be the leading tipster of the BBC team by the end of the week. Well, we've heard them give their suggestions. Willie was very confident with Chamadel, and he told us that before Chamadel was confirmed as Godolphin's runner. So lucky for him, the horse does run. He was the leading tipster last year. Ian and Ray have gone for Crocodile Bay, Jamie Osborne's 2-year-old, in the last race, the Chesham. That's after we go off air at 5:30. Jim McGrath has gone for the French horse, who's unbeaten so far this season, Cheneur. That's in the King's Stand at 3:05. Susie Perry, as she told us earlier, she's going for the name. She's gone for In the Fashion, owned by Sir Robert Ogden, and that runs in the last in the Chesham. And Angus is the other selected tipster. As you'll notice, my name is not on there. Don't mind at all. And he's gone for Valexier, trained by André Fabre. Christophe Soumillon rides that one in the Queen Anne. So it could be a very interesting day. Keep an eye out for those horses and how they run. But let's take a check on Ascot. Are we going to be back there for the Royal Meeting this time next year? And how is the redevelopment progress going? Well, they've exchanged one hat for another to take in the view here at Ascot, and this hopefully will be where the Royal Meeting will be staged this time next year. The whole racecourse has been moved to the north to accommodate this enormous new grandstand. The place will be able to hold 80,000 people, same capacity as before, but with a lot more space to move around and a very different feel to it. When this racecourse was first established in 1711 by Queen Anne, she could never have foreseen that 300 years later, this would be the view. Now, if I come round to the back of the grandstand, we get a great view from here, from the 6th floor, or what will be the 6th floor, of the paddock and the winner's enclosure. It's going to be a circular amphitheatre just sunken below ground level. It'll hold 8,000 people, and the horses will leave that area there, the paddock, to walk underneath the grandstand. That's their route out onto the course and back from the course afterwards. There'll be an underpass right underneath the belly of the grandstand. For people who want to see the horses very early on before the race, this will be the pre-parade area. And the building behind that used to house restaurants, bars and betting outlets will be transformed back into what it used to be, which is a block of stables. Now, what is the wow factor with the new Ascot, given that this is the biggest racecourse redevelopment this country's ever seen? What is going to be different about this racecourse?
Well, I think first and foremost, it is going to be just the most fantastic stand, and the facilities themselves will be superb. One of the things about the new stand is that at concourse or galleria level and at lawn level, it is accessible to everybody. This area will be a great big plaza full of people enjoying themselves.
Given that there's been a mixed reaction in Yorkshire and in the north to the concept of the Royal Enclosure, and badges haven't sold as strongly as they might do down south, have you altered your thinking at all about the social structure of Royal Ascot going forward?
Yeah, well, first of all, the badges for the Royal Enclosure at Royal Ascot York have actually sold well. But we've always known that the Royal Enclosure list is more southern based. We're very pleased with the number of people who are actually going to York. It's a very interesting question you ask, and the basic answer is no. We don't intend to change the basic structure of the Royal Meeting, although we are looking at other non-Royal Meeting days at the moment.
Well, it's all very well having the most incredible facilities for spectators, but unless the course is right, trainers will not run their horses. And the man with the pretty large responsibility of making sure this is all correct is Chris Stickles, new clerk of the course.
Yeah.
What a job. Yeah,
it's a huge job. It's a huge job. But, I mean, fantastic work's happened here, to be honest, in the last 8 months. The whole of this straight course, the whole of this turf flat straight course has been relayed, including the home bend coming into the straight and the bend going away. Now there's been underpasses built underneath the track. In fact, the Holloway's gate crossing there, as it's called, is now complete. And Winkfield Road, well, that's ahead of schedule, actually. I mean, that was due to be finished about now. In fact, it was completed 2 weeks ago.
It is a very challenging project and has been from the start, but we are confident. The track has worked extremely well. We're very pleased with that. There are parts of the stand which are a little bit behind schedule, but we're confident we're going to be able to catch up and open for the Royal Meeting next year.
So that's the scene at Ascot right now, and here we are at York, coming to the paddock with Willie. No, don't run away. Oh. You're on with me. Lots of owners in here for the opening race of this meeting, 2005 Coventry Stakes, which is for 2-year-olds. Lots of emails and texts coming in as well. One here from David Mannion in Bradford, who says Sherwood's cruising for a bruising. Has he brought bodyguards up here with him this week? He won't last a day up north, which I think is in reference to James Sherwood, who I thought was very funny, quite strong in his opinions on our first hit of fashion. So, yes. But don't take it too seriously. You know, he doesn't mean it as a personal insult. He's just giving his opinion. But if we were like,
very strong opinion too.
But if we were like that at horses, turned around and looked at these and said that looks awful, we might be in big trouble.
Now, there's one thing you can do or cannot do, is you cannot say too much wrong about a horse because the owner gets very, very upset. But you can talk about themselves or their wives and they don't care. But don't say anything wrong about their horse.
So insult the wife, insult the children, insult
yes,
their dress,
but not their horse.
Not their horse.
Exactly.
Well, we've got some really nice looking horses here, and it's quite a chilly day. You'll see actually that one of the Godolphin runners, Emirates Gold, has got a sheet that's covering him just to keep him warm, but the horse we're looking at the moment is the favourite, which is Tusenda, trained by John Gosden. Now, John Gosden won this race this time last year with Iceman, but obviously that was at Ascot. This is at York. 5-2 favourites at the moment. We'll take a closer look at all of these runners, 15 of them lining up for the Coventry, but let's get the details on this race from Jim.
The Coventry Stakes, our first race at the Royal Meeting from York, of course. And what a course it is too. The new revamped course here at York for the Coventry Stakes, 6 furlongs. It's right up the straight, of course. Iceman, the winner last year, 3 Valleys the year before. Let's have a look now at the runners and riders for the Coventry Stakes. 1 is Amadeus Wolf, Neil Callan. 2, Amagoni, McCannan. 3 is B.A. Foxtrot, Chris Catlin. 4 is Cool Creek, Ryan Moore. 5, Emirates Gold, Karen McAvoy. 6 is Imperial Sword, Seb Sanders. 7, League Champion, Jamie Spencer. 8, Marcus Andronicus, Kieran Fallon. 9 is Pacific Pride, Robert Winston. 10, Red Clubs, Michael Hills. 11, Sir Czar, Kevin Darley. 12, Tent, Shane Kelly. 13 is Tusenda, Richard Hughes. 14, Transonic, Daryl Holland. And 15, Zato, is Ted Durkin. They're the 15 runners in the Coventry Stakes. 6 furlongs the trip, and here's Angus with the bet.
And Two Sender is our first favourite at around about 5-2. It was back from 11-4 to 2-1 this morning, but it's trading here at 5-2. Red Clubs is popular at 6-1 and generally now showing at 11-2. Amadeus Wolf is the interesting one for me. This has been well supported from 12s into 10s, and that 10 is shrinking. Most on the rails are 9 and 8 in a place with the Irish firms down the bottom of the rail. But 5-2, Two Sender. It has touched 11-4. Marcus Adronicus is second best at 5-1. Red Club's popular at 11-2. BA Foxtrot, who was impressive at Epsom, is a 7-1 chance, and Amadeus Wolf, the interesting outsider, being supported from 12s into 10s.
Well, the largest cheer will go up if a horse called BA Foxtrot wins this, because these are the owners and there are quite a lot of them. They're all members of the High Life Racing Club, and John Williams is the man who manages them all. Now, you all have at some stage or another worked for British Airways.
Yes, that's right, yes. At the moment there's 7 retired and about 13 still working, all different pushback drivers, MT drivers, captains, cabin crew, the lot.
So the one horse you do not want to see you get going past BA Foxtrot is Emirates Gold.
Definitely not. Definitely. We're a better airline than them, and we got a better horse than them, so we're on our way.
And I've heard that, I mean, your horse won the Woodcote at Epsom pretty impressively, actually, and I've heard that you didn't have any suggestion to make to Mick Shannon about where to go next.
Not really, no. If we'd never been here, there'd have been trouble. Yes, a lot of trouble.
I thought you said I've never told the pilot how to fly a plane, so I won't tell him.
True, but that was the distance of either the Norfolk or this one. That was that one. So because we were umming and ahhing.
Okay, but you've come down.
Even though there's 20 odd of us in the Royal Enclosure, we made arrangements for hotels. We still said, if you want to go Thursday, go Thursday.
But you said it through gritted teeth. Now, Willie, I'd like you to just go and speak to Mrs. David Jones over there. She's got something to say to you.
What have you got to say?
I can remember you on a flight and you actually pinched my bum once.
Apologise. I think you should apologise.
No, it was rather nice. Actually.
All I can say is I was a very nice bum too.
Thank you.
Well, as you can see, the tone here at Royal Ascot has been set. Good luck to all of you. Big cheer for your horse wins. Well done.
There's BA Foxtrot with Chris Catlin on board, just leaving the paddock on his way down to the 6 furlong start. He's got probably the best form of those that line up in the race, Ray, but that's because he's had the most runs.
Yes, he's been very, very consistent. He started off with career winning, and he went across to Ireland and he won a listed race over there. Then he ran into quite a nice one there in Ireland again. The ground was very heavy that day, and then he scooted up at Epsom, as we seen last time in the Woodcote listed stakes there. Very wide margin winner. Very, very nice little horse, most experienced in the field.
A horse with a great chance in the race is Two Sender, trained by John Gosden, who won this race last year when it was at Ascot with a horse called Iceman. John, first of all, what's the difference, do you think, between preparing a horse for 6 furlongs here at York as opposed to Ascot?
Well, also it's more of a speed track here. I mean, as James Willoughby pointed out this morning, the track record here is 56 and change, and at Ascot it's 59. That is not far off 14, 15 lengths difference. So you're talking Ascot, if you stand at a 6 there, it climbs, it dips past the road, and then it climbs. This is flat and fast. So it's much more of a speedball track.
Do you believe that Two Sender's got the speed to win this race?
He's got a lot of natural speed, but I have to be honest that he's very much a horse who preferred the layout of Ascot to this. He really finishes. He's had the one run. He's coming here inexperienced against some quick animals. He just might find it a bit rapid for him, in which case we wait for a stiffer 6 or a 7 later on. There's some nice horses in here. Cesar, you know, and Aiden's horse, and then the one that Barry Hills trains. Very fast horses.
John, what do you think about the move from Ascot to York?
I think it's right to bring it up here. Yeah, it's a great track. I think it's absolutely great idea. Next year, if we go back to Ascot, fine. If not, then you can always think of a track like Newmarket. I mean, I think it's right to move it around. You just don't want to keep it stuck in the south.
John, good luck with Two Sender. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Two Sender on his way down to post. One I know that you fancy quite a lot in the race, Ray.
Yes, I thought he was very impressive when he won at Newbury. Jimmy Fortune rode him on that day. I think Richard Hughes was actually suspended, but he was very impressive. He tucked him away in behind the leading bunch, and he produced a nice turn of foot to run the second horse down. They pulled 4 or 5 lengths well clear. He's a very nice little horse.
And in the famous Carlo Abdallah Silks, and related to a number of very good horses from the same owner's breeding operation, the Derby winner Commander-in-Chief, also a great horse called Warning, Yashmak as well, and also Dushianto. Well, we can see the run that he's had so far. It was on I would imagine what's going to turn to be faster ground than we have today at Newbury, but at least he has gone, because horses we chatted about BA Voxtrot, he's never encountered fast ground, but we know that this horse will have no problem with it.
Yeah, the ground was very fast on this day. It was the quickest it's been at Newbury in quite a while, but he handled the ground really, really well, so the ground should suit him here. There won't be no excuses on that mark. But as you can see, he's a little green when he hits the front, and Jimmy gives him a backhander, and he just starts to stride away. Nice horse, and he's going to take a lot of beating here.
So, Tusenda, trained by John Gosden, who trained the winner of the race 12 months ago. It's 3 years since Aidan O'Brien trained the winner with Statue of Liberty. He's got a few runners today, and he's with O'Brien.
Well, Aidan O'Brien, Ian has said you have a great record in this race. How is Marcus Andronicus?
Yeah, he's good form, Brian. He came out of the last race well. Hasn't done a lot of work because we thought he was in good enough shape, so we're hoping that he runs well.
He cost $1.5 million as a yearling. He's a gorgeous looking horse. Has he always shown promise at Ballydoyle?
Yeah, always showed loads of natural speed. It's what you really like. He's a very well made horse, a very good mover.
Of course, your other stable companion, Ivan Devonovich, was second at Newbury to the favourite Tusenda. Is it a fair question to ask how they compare at home?
Yeah, they haven't worked together, but like obviously we like the horse that ran in Newbury, and he won his maiden very well next time. This horse got beat first. This fella won here first time, but Ivan got beat first time and won then and Leopardstown. But they're lovely horses, but they haven't worked together.
But this fella you like?
Yeah, we always liked him. Like he came here first time and won nicely first time, so like obviously you'd have to be very impressed with that.
And they just won a couple of questions later in the week. Oratorio later in the day, Oratorio and Coconut Beach for BBC viewers. Have they got chances?
Yeah, Oratorio. Kieran wrote him an advisor on during the week, and he was delighted with him. So that's why that's on him. He's in good form. Coconut Beach came out of Chester well, and like we always thought he was a horse that would get a trip. So hopefully it's obviously a half a mile further today, but we're hoping that he'll run well also.
I'm sure we'll be speaking to you later in the week. Let's hope we have some success. Well done.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you.
Well, Marcus Andronicus is a 5-to-1 chance at the moment, and 11-2 red clubs. But the interesting one, as I was mentioning before, was this top one, Amadeus Wolf, 12s into 9s. The favourite's solid, but it's not getting any bigger than 11-4, but there's been plenty of good-sized bets for it. Red clubs is also popular, 6 into 11-2, but the spring in the market, Amadeus Wolf, 12 into 9, the best backed outsider in this race.
There's Marcus Andronicus then down at the post, Kieran Fallon riding him, as we've heard all about it from his trainer. He's a nice type of horse, as he should be, as he costs so much money as a yearling.
Yes, he certainly wouldn't want to be paid in the bill when he arrived in the yard. But he's a very nice winner here at York in the spring. But the ground was totally different that day. The ground was very, very soft. The race hasn't worked out particularly well, but he could do no more than win as Wheezy did. He's a good type animal.
But at least I suppose he does have the experience of having run and won over course and distance.
Most certainly, most certainly. That'd be a big benefit to him.
Now let's have a look at red clubs, number 10 in the light blue and red jacket there. Michael Hills rides this for Barry Hills. He's won 2 races this horse at Goodwood, and also a race we're going to have a look at now at Newmarket, which was today's trip, 6 furlongs. It was roughly the same ground. The impressive thing about this is he's giving weight away, £7 to his rivals, and he beats them very well.
Yes, and the thing that we haven't seen on the videotape, that he actually got hampered early in the race, so it was an even better performance. These were, it was quite a hot novice here at Newmarket, and he picked up really well on the outside, and he strode away well. He's not an over big horse, but he's got plenty of speed, and he's very, very gutsy. I had dinner with Michael last night, and he's very, very sweet in his chance here.
Well, that was red clubs. Now we have in fact got one loose, and it is, I think it is Imperial Sword. There's Seb Sanders, no problems for him. He's safely back up on his feet, but we're going to have a delay to our first at Royal Ascot at York, as Imperial Sword is making his way down the track. I think I've seen his lad already racing out onto the track to try and grab hold of him. Difficult to stop these when they're off like this, isn't it?
Certainly is, and he's having a good look round too. But with a bit of luck, the lads will get him out in the front here, so they will do. He'll more like try and come back in the gate, and they'll grab him very quickly.
And he's doing, and they could inconceivably take him back down to the post, because he's only just jogging along there in terms of a horse, isn't he?
He was going a little bit quicker earlier, and he's starting to slow down a bit now, but it more likely very doubtfully would run.
Well, we'll see. And what's not going to help him is the huge crowd are going to give him a huge cheer now, which could just fizz him up, I'm afraid.
It might make him quicken up a little bit.
There he is. Well, there's one thing to say. He is the first past the post this year. Unfortunately, without pilot, and you ain't going to get paid if you were on. Well, let's Let's see how he comes. He's going to come right in front of us now, and
he's slowing down. I think he's coming in the gate.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Always helps to have a big fella stood in front of you. You want to pull them up.
And by the looks of it, they're going to take him straight off the track. And apparently, his trainer David Barron's son who's got a hold of him and brought him back into the paddock, which would indicate that there's the saddle's coming off, so he's not going to run. Although it doesn't look as if Seb Sanders knows that, because he's stranded down at the post. He'll have to get a lift back up here to the enclosures. It has now just come over the public address here. This won't disturb the other ones down at the post, will it?
No, most of them are walking around very, very gently and quietly, and they're behaving very well down there.
Okay, well, let's hope Lydia is.
Imperial Sword has bowled. What exactly happened was Seb Sanders was aware that the horse was being a little edgy with him and decided to get off and hold him in order to sort of calm him down. And just as he did that, the horse whipped round and the reins were ripped out of his hand. He's just got a bit of a sore hand. He's perfectly fine, but the horse was getting edgy beforehand. Of course, it's not great for these 2-year-olds who are having to be to keep calm before the start of their big race. Descender was getting a little bit warm, but he has got a plum draw. Interestingly, rarely for sprint tracks, this is actually favoured the middle draw. If you're drawn in the middle, you've got a very good chance. BA Foxtrot unusually is badly drawn next to the rails in 1. So Descender has got a plum draw up the middle, arrow formation.
Up in the owners and trainers stand, I'm with trainer Brian Smart, who looks after Cesar. Brian, a lot of people are talking about this horse, saying that he has a lot of ability. What do you say?
He's a nice horse. He's come here. He deserves to be here in what he's done. He won a nice maiden race at Doncaster. He won a conditions race. It was a good, fast time. I mean, we're here to do our best. Let's hope for a bit of luck now.
Lydia was just talking about the draw and saying that according to where the pace is, and you want to be drawn in the middle to get the best ground. He's drawn in stall 5. Are you concerned at all by that?
No, Kevin knows his track like the back of his hand. That's why he rides him. So, I mean, we've had a chat. We know what we're doing, and let's hope now for a bit of luck.
Brian, good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Down the track. But there he is, being washed down now, not going to take part, and that leaves 14 runners. They are being loaded up as we speak. The race will very shortly be underway. Will he a winner?
Well, I would have to go with the favourite here, because he did a good time at Newbury, and everything's right about him. So I would have to go to Sender.
Okay, well, there in picture is Tent, trained by Jamie Osborne. He could have an exciting week. He's got Crocodile Bay coming up much later today, and later in the week, Marriage Value, who he picked for us as a 2-year-old to look out for. There's Karen McAvoy's Bottom, just on the side of the stalls, taking the weight off Emirates Gold's back. And there in the pink colours is Amadeus Wolf. But let's go and join Jim for the commentary of the first race for Royal Ascot at York.
Yes, loading up here and about to go forward is on the near side, number 7, league champion Jamie Spencer. Karen McAvoy just now getting back in the saddle on Emirates Gold. Now going forward is Descender, the favourite. Richard Hughes, they're ready now for the Coventry. Stand by. And they're racing. Cool Creek was slightly slow into stride. One of the first away was Amadeus Wolf, and up the centre going fast too is Pacific Pride to be one of the early leaders. Also Transonic is there as well, and Red Club's over on the far side. Descender right there in the centre with Sir Zara, and on the near side showing pace as league champion. Further back in the field, Cool Creek. They're followed by Amadeus Wolf on the near side. Then right there in the centre is Marcus Andronicus. Right in the middle of the pack there with Emirates Gold in the royal blue jacket. Further back in the field then is Zato, who's last as they pass the 3. And the leader here is Pacific Pride from Sir Zar. They're followed then on the near side by league champion trying to get into it. Here's Marcus Andronicus, produced on the far side in company with Red Clubs, who's finishing well. Then Amadeus Wolf, but it's Pacific Pride, the leader. Red Clubs over on the far side is moving up to challenge now. Marcus Andronicus in the centre, followed by Sir Zar and Amadeus Wolf, but on the far side, Red Clubs is the leader. 100 yards left to go from Pacific Pride. Punched right out. Red Clubs here for Michael Hills. Is going to win the Coventry by 2 lengths. Second was Pacific Pride. Third then Amadeus Wolf. They're followed then by Cesar and Marcus Andronicus. Further back in the field then is Zato. Last to finish is Transonic. The winner of the Coventry Stakes is number 10, Red Clubs. Owned by Ronnie Akuli, trained by Barry Hills and ridden by Michael Hills. Second is number 9, Pacific Pride, ridden by Robert Winston. Photo third officially. 1 and 11 in it. That's Amadeus Wolf, Neil Callan, and 11, which is Sir Czar, ridden by Kevin Daly. Here they are crossing the line. Red Clubs clear. Pacific Pride. Then in third is Amadeus Wolf. Fourth then Cesar, followed by Marcus Andronicus, who had his chance. They're followed then by Zato, and further back in the field then Lee Champion. They were followed by Amagoni, then Cool Creek, then Emirates Gold, Tent behind them. They were followed then by Tusenda. BA Foxtrot never got a blow in there, and Transonic has finished well back. Another view there of the winner, Red Clubs, winning for Michael Hills. In this opener, the first Royal Ascot race at York has gone to Red Clubs, and officially third, number 1, Amadeus Wolf. It's official now, and Cesar officially fourth. But no doubt about the winner. There he is, Red Clubs. This colt by Red Ransom out of 2 clubs, and owned by the chairman of the Hong Kong Jockey Club, Ronnie Akuli.
Well, Barry Hills had his first Royal Ascot winner back in 1971. He has his 19th today with Red Clubs, who was never too far off the pace. You could see Tusenda is illustrated there as well, the favourite, but was just struggling to go the pace, which was set for the most part by the horse who eventually finished his second, Pacific Pride, trained by Howard Johnson. You'll know him from Jumping World and Andrea Graham Wiley, their colours, very well known at Cheltenham, but not necessarily at York or at Royal Ascot. But at this point, Red Clubs forges to the front with Michael Hills. He's won his last 2 starts, a lovely colt by Red Ransom, and he's pretty impressive in the end, Willie.
Very impressive indeed. The interesting thing about this race was the draw. It looks like we didn't really know, because they put the stalls in the middle of the course. You didn't know which way the jockeys were going to go, but the horses, the winner is come from draw 2. The third is coming out of stall 3. And the third horse is stall 6, so the low numbers is where you want to be in the next.
No,
race.
Amadeus Wolf, who finished third, who was drawn 15, so actually right across the course.
Oh, sorry, I've got down as Marcus Andronicus was third. Sorry.
No.
Yes, sorry, my
That's
mistake.
All right. That's all right.
But
it's
anyway,
a long
this horse is by Red Ransom, and of course Red Ransom has done so well.
Stands at Darley now.
Yes, he has. They brought him over 2 years ago, and he's very, very good with 2-year-olds. He has lots and lots of 2-year-old winners. He is from the Roberto line, and he has been very, very successful. And of course, there's Michael Hills riding, another winner for Barry Hills, one of the most successful trainers, as you said, here at Royal Ascot.
A 12th Royal Ascot winner for Michael Hills.
Now the distance is 1 3/4, 1 1/4 lengths, and the time 1:10.91, and that's pretty quick. It's 0.19 of a second faster than standard for 2-year-olds. Into this winner's enclosure, the Royal Winners' Enclosure at York. What an honour to be the very first horse to enter that enclosure at this unique meeting. There he is, Red Clubs. He's a nice type. And coming up the centre, as we were discussing the draw, he drew stall number 2 and had to do quite a bit of racing out in the centre by himself. There's Barry Hills talking to his son Michael. Had many successes together, father and son.
I'm down in the Winners' Enclosure. Barry Hill's just about to step in for a photo. Barry, can we just grab a quick word before the photo, if that's okay? Well, this is the first time you've won the Coventry Stakes, is that right? Third time, sorry.
Third, yeah, I think so, yeah.
And 34 years ago, you had your first Royal Ascot winner. How special does it feel to have the first one at York?
Well, I mean, York's a very good race course, and it's always nice to win anywhere, but I mean, it's still Ascot if you know it's York.
And this fella, he seemed very relaxed beforehand. Is that one of his special traits?
He's a very laid-back horse, and you wouldn't know you got him. You could put him at the bottom of the bed if you wanted to, and nothing faces him, and he'll get further. He's a very good horse.
And talking about further, what sort of targets would you have in mind for him?
Well, something like the National Stakes or the Champagne Stakes. I'm looking forward to running over 7 furlongs later on.
Very well done. Great start to the meeting for you.
Good. Thank you very much.
Well, Barry Hill's struggling a bit with his voice. He's had various operations on his throat in the last couple of years, but he's bravely soldiering on. It means he's rather quieter at his yard in Lambourne, and the lads possibly appreciate that. I was there actually the other morning, you know, and I wasn't quite, you know, sharp enough to write down his leading Royal Ascot hopes, because I'm sure he'd have put Red Clubs on the list.
Yeah, but he's been a great trainer, as Barry. He's been over the years. He's always had, you know, on the point of having a real champion. Last year he had a classic winner with Half, and he was a very, very good horse.
And amazing, really, the dynasty, the Hills dynasty. Michael Hills there just weighing in, checking he's got the correct weight of 8 stone 12, with his twin brother Richard, also a very successful jockey. Their brother John Hills is a very successful trainer. And Charlie Hills is assistant to Barry. And Barry is one of those people in racing.
You better not forget the young one.
George. Yeah, I remember interviewing George when he was about 12 at Royal Ascot, actually. But Barry Hills has worked his way up from being a stable lad originally.
Yes, he was with John Oxley, and of course I was quite friendly with him then, because we lived very close together before he became a trainer.
And he won a big bet, didn't he? And that set him up.
Frankincense in the Lincoln. Greville Starkey was in on it. He rode the horse, and the horse did some very nice gallops. And Barry Hills, obviously, he took the bullet and bit it, and of course, he got himself, started to train at Lambourne at South Bank, and that's where he started. And I actually remember his first winner was La Dolce Vita at Thirst, ridden by Annie Johnson.
And now he's at Farringdon Place, a very modern yard. They've got various American barns there, and he's doing really, really well. So the first really big race of the week has been won by Barry Hills, but now we're going to reflect on some of the French action over the weekend. Ian Bartlett is in the weighing room with one of the leading jockeys in France.
Yeah, thanks Claire. Christophe Lemaire joins me. Christophe, very nice to see you at York. Do you think it's a nice racecourse?
Yeah, it's very nice. I walk a little bit on the track, and we can see the big stands and everything. And with the crowd, I think it will be great for me to ride here.
Well, you're having a great weekend. We're going to have a look back at Divine Proportions winning the Prix de Diane, the French Oaks, on Sunday afternoon. She won it very impressively.
Yeah, she was brilliant, and every time she runs, she impressed me, because every time she pushed the limit further. And this time it was 2,100 meters. We were not sure if she had the ability to stay, but she showed that there was any problem for her, and she was superb. When I asked her to go quicker, she really flew, and she was outstanding.
Yeah, now she's the best horse you've ridden, yeah?
Yes, of course. I rode some good horses like Vespon, but Divine Proportion, I think, is a fantastic filly, and something special with her.
Okay, now it has been said that she might run in the Arc, 2,400 meters. Will she get that far?
We can think about it, because she won very well the Prix de Diane, so we can expect that she can run longer. But her trainer and owner will decide, because I'm not able to decide, but why not? Why not?
Okay. Now, coming up, you've got Chinera in this 5 furlong sprint. The ground here is probably faster than he normally runs on. Is that going to be a problem for him?
I don't think so, because last time in Longchamp the ground was fast, and he ran very well. So I think it won't be a problem for him today. The only thing is that he's a little bit slow at the start, and I hope we won't lose too much ground, because I can see that the track is very flat, and we won't have the chance, I think, to cover a lot of ground at the end. So he'll have to be fast.
Okay, and good luck. He's here tomorrow as well, so you can have a night out in York. That's special for you. Enjoy it. That's Christophe Lemaire.
Well, those that followed the positive negatives at the top of the programme will have got off to a flying start. Mike Dillon tipping up Red Clubs. It returned 11-2 and it was third favourite. A real result for the bookies with number 9 Pacific Pride almost unbacked 66-1. That was second. And Amadeus Wolf, the each-way horse that we alerted to you in the market, well back from 12s into 9s. That finished third. Tasenda was the unplaced 5-2 favourite. The winner by a length and 3/4. And Red Clubs gets punters off to a winning start at odds of 11-2.
Well, the presentation being made here by the Lord Mayor of York, Councillor Janet Greenwood. We saw her in the royal procession, and Adrian Nicol, that looks like accepting it on behalf of Ronnie Arcouli, the winning owner of the chairman of the Hong Kong Jockey Club. And evidently he's not here today, but plenty of people may have backed Red Clubs in the first. And you were just saying how impressed you were with the second horse, Pacific Pride, of Howard Johnson. He's going to have some other runners this week.
He's got a bunch of good 2-year-olds. I saw one of his horses win at Newcastle, and I thought that was be Ascot bound, and I thought maybe he'd be in this race. But obviously this horse is better. But so he's Howard Johnson, the jumping trainer. He can train fast horses as well.
Well, absolutely. He's very versatile, as many trainers are. But we're going to look ahead now to a race that will be on BBC Two at 4:20, the Queen Anne Stakes, for which the hot favourite is Rakti, a superstar on his day, a super brat on others, as Rishi explains.
Without doubt, one of the most remarkable performances of the season so far was Rakti's record-breaking win in the Judd McLaughlin Stakes at Newbury. It just goes to show that when he's good, he's very good.
Look at him go. It's Rakti by 3 or 4 lengths now, drawing clear of MacLove. What a performance this is. 100 yards left to go. It's all Rakti. He goes to the line, a brilliant winner. Wins it by 5 lengths.
Oh, he was stunning in the Lockinge at Newbury, because the way he pulled away from the field, broke the track record. I mean, it just seemed to suggest that a straight mile on fast ground is his optimum conditions.
I think you're probably right. Fast ground is priority. A mile is probably his best trip.
I mean, he's been to Royal Ascot before. We know he's won the Prince of Wales Stakes last year. He's got a great record generally, but he does have this ability to throw in the bad performance. Take us back to the Eclipse last year at Sandown, where everything went wrong for him.
Yeah, I mean, everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong that day. In the parade ring, he was throwing himself around, and then he got himself pretty upset. He was pretty unruly at the start, and then sat down in the stalls, missed the break by several lengths, and then when he did jump, he sort of was just running away, and I mean, you don't get home doing that.
I mean, everyone gets the idea that he's been this difficult horse to train, but I suppose the rewards for the efforts that you have to go through are worth it.
Oh, absolutely. One might not persevere if he was a horse of very limited ability. Obviously, he's a good horse, so you live with it and just do your best.
Rakti wins the QE2 from Lucky Story.
Where would he rank in the list of horses that you've trained? You've trained some pretty good ones.
I think he's certainly the best mile and a quarter horse that I've trained. He's an immensely talented horse.
With the ability to do anything from brilliant to horrible.
Yes. Do
you find it exciting thinking about a horse like Rakti who tests your ability?
No, I'd prefer him to be very straightforward and calm and still have the same ability. See there, Gus throwing just a nice swinging exercise canter. You see he's quite relaxed there. Bob's got him on a nice long rein. He's moving well.
Bob, I suppose, has looked after him from the day that he arrived?
Yes. He's done a good job with it. He's a horseman, Bob, and he understands the horse. If the horse was slightly off colour, he would certainly notice a difference, and this is what you need in good stable staff.
You had to give the horse confidence. He was very nervous and about everything. He just lost all confidence in anything to do with racing. And it was all a matter, if you give the horse confidence, he'll give his best for you.
What's it like to ride a horse as good as him on the gallops?
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's like driving a Rolls Royce, a very special horse. And if he gets into his own special rhythm, which no other horse has got, if he's in that mood, he's unstoppable, he's unbeatable.
Can anything get near him at Ascot at York this year?
Well, it's up to him. The only thing that will beat him is himself.
Michael, it's been quite a team effort to get the best out of Rakti, yourself, Bob, who's looked after him, and Philip Robinson as well. I mean, he's really got a fine relationship with this horse, isn't he?
As you say, Philip's had a great input, and it was really Philip's idea that we drop back to a mile and also to let the horse just bowl along instead of having this sort of battle with him. So he's a big advantage having a jockey like that on your side.
This year, of course, Rod Ascot's gone up to York, Michael, and it sounds from what everyone's saying that it's going to be a very, very electric atmosphere up there. Is that going to affect him at all, or would you prefer the race to have been at Ascot?
Well, I suppose in a perfect world I would have preferred Ascot because, you know, as we know, the horse has been very effective there. I mean, he's won 2 Group 1s there and been second in another one, so obviously the place suits him. But, I mean, that wasn't to be, so, you know, we're going to make the best of York.
In your opinion, Michael, over a mile, is there anything as good as Bracty in the world?
Well, in the world is a big statement, but I mean, it will take a very good horse to beat him over a mile on fast ground. I emphasise that in this country anyway.
So Michael Jarvis will be among those very relieved that the rain has eased off, and we're quite relieved as well. It is quite windy here though, so only the brave and the bold are going into the paddock, but that does include Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall taking a closer look at people and horses and generally enjoying the atmosphere here at York. The Duchess of Cornwall herself, a very keen horsewoman and always someone who's understood racing. And they look as if they're making their way down to the pre-parade ring, actually, which is right behind us. Now, this, they are indeed, and there they are. This is a very busy area because behind us, not only the horses who are unplaced in the race before being unsaddled and washed down, but also the runners for the next race being saddled up in the boxes behind us. And it looks as if Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall, who are there under the tree in the middle, are just meeting up with the Earl of Halifax, and Miller Halifax, Countess of Halifax, is there as well. And having a very relaxing time, I would say. Now, there are lots of emails coming in, and we've got one from Kevin in Farndale who says, Willie Carson, who was your best winner at the Royal Meeting?
Best winner? Well, I had quite a few Gold Cups, but the one I do remember is Muttaram. He won the Prince of Wales back-to-back wins, and he was a nightmare of a ride because you got 50 yards in front and then he put the brakes on. So you had to time it right. And both times I was lucky enough to get between horses and win the race, but it was a lot of luck involved.
Well, lots of emails and texts coming in, and do keep them coming in because Mike in Leeds says, I'd wager this will be the best Royal Meeting for a while. Forget those Berkshire Toffs. We've got some true Yorkshire class up here. Well, let's have a look and see what the Yorkshire class is wearing. Here's Susie.
Thank you very much, Claire. Yorkshire class I have here in the form of Linda Barker, looking a bit like we're supporting Manchester United between the two of us today, aren't we?
I know, me and my bright red.
Appropriate with the shares and everything else. Now listen, you're known for many things, but primarily you're an interior designer.
I am.
Is there a crossover between fashions within buildings, if you like, and clothes? And that's a funny question, but there does tend to be a crossover, doesn't there?
Well, certainly with interiors and accessories and that kind of thing, you know, we're changing our accessories and homes so quickly these days, and we do get influence from the catwalk. I certainly look at the catwalk trends, and we mentioned it with James earlier, that lovely chartreuse green, that is such a strong kind of fashion interiors colour at the moment, and we're seeing it in fashion as well. And that lovely turquoise that Claire is wearing, you know, that's a very strong interiors trend.
Lydia's wearing lemon and chocolate today, which is also a great combination. We're seeing quite a bit of that here, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, chocolate is such a great colour. So I haven't seen the lemon and chocolate. It sounds divine, I have to say. But yeah, I mean, those beautiful pastel colours with chocolate, you can't go wrong with, like powder blue and chocolate or pink and chocolate. And the same with interiors. You know, you have a beautiful chocolate brown sofa or chair, you know, a little pink cushion, just gorgeous.
Lovely. Well, look, you have a look round and pick a few outfits out for us. Okay. I'm just going to go and have a quick word with James. Thanks, Linda. I'm having a bit of bother with my hat because it's so breezy down here. I've decided to wear a hairband hat. It's blowing off, not very good. Let's talk about the appropriateness of dress here, James, because some things work, some things don't.
Well, frankly, I'm looking at appropriate. You know, the way you're dressed now, you know, very, very simple. You always keep it simple at Ascot. You know, not too many feathers, not too many frills, never, you know, too much flash. You know, so it's lovely to see a very simple, very tailored skirt suit and a perfect hat, and you're there.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll be able to have a look at some of the fashions that we've been seeing and having a peek at this morning in a few seconds' time. Here we go, then.
Well, I think York has really come up trumps, not with that hat. Orange is a very difficult colour. Superb waistcoat on that chap, the yellow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's very, very pretty. Very pretty little fascinator.
James, noticing something about the men and their hats here?
Well, the men are all wearing their hats, which one doesn't usually at Ascot. You only wear them in the royal enclosure. That's an incredible explosion that we've just seen of pheasant feathers. I hope the poor beast was all right.
It's a nice hot pink there.
And it's always lovely to see a fresh colour when the weather's so dreadful. It's like seeing butterflies, which is always rather nice. That chap's wearing my waistcoat, or the colour of. That's an absolute cracker. Superb outfit, superb, totally appropriate, totally Ascot.
Terrific, and there's Camilla.
Mrs. Parker, the Duchess of Cornwall, excuse me, looking, I think, rather lovely in that violet colour, and two super diamond brooches that the royal family always seem to sort of come up trumps with their diamond brooches, don't they?
Absolutely fantastic. James, thank you very much. What should we do? Should we go and have a little wander around and see what we can find?
I think that'd be lovely.
Okay. Thank you. See you later.
Try to find a winner as well. It's all hotting up here in the paddock. The jockey's just about to get mounted, but two horses already on their way down to the start. The Tatling, who won the race last year, he can get pretty fizzed up before a race. Darrell Holland on board him, cantering down to the start. And here is a runner who's over here from America, Mighty Bow. David Newish just walking him gently down to the start. And let's hear from his trainer, Jeff Mullins, is with Lydia now.
Yes, he certainly is. Let's start by talking to Jeff. You've already jocked up your jockey and he's gone down to the start. Why have you chosen to do that already?
Well, here they won't let, in the U.S., we go with a pony to post, and he's never gone to post without a pony, so they let us go early so there wasn't any other horses around him, and hopefully that'll help.
So you're very much feeling your way. This is your first runner in Britain.
Yeah, it is. It is. We're kind of excited.
And what made you want to come here?
Well, we talked it over with the owners, and we decided if he ran good at Churchill, we would, make the trip. So he won in pretty good fashion, so we decided to go ahead.
And did he take the journey and being over here? He's been staying at Jeff Ragg's yard in Newmarket. Has he taken that well?
Yeah, he shipped really well. We're really pleased with him. We haven't had any bumps in the road so far.
And how about, we're used to American horses being really quick away from the stalls. Is that what we should expect from him today?
Well, he's normally really quick, but he's gotten left before and put on a good performance. So I really don't think it's going to make a difference.
Okay, well, good luck today. I mentioned there's an international flavour to this race. Stephen Allenson is from the Victoria Racing Club, the racing authority in Australia. And you've got this race here, the King's Stand, is one of the races in the Global Sprint Challenge, and you've got two over in Australia, haven't you?
Yes, we have. We've got the Lightning Stakes and the Australia Stakes. It's part of a sprint series for horses that hasn't been done before, and we're pretty excited that it's going very well.
And you've got a winner from that race in this race, Cape of Good Hope.
Yes, I think he'll go very well. Maybe a little bit short for him, but we're hoping he does well.
And Royal Ascot has got two of the races as well in the Global Sprint Challenge. The King's Stand today and the Golden Jubilee on Saturday. Nick Smith is the PR man from Ascot. You must be very pleased to be part of this new initiative.
Yeah, we're absolutely delighted. We would have had Fastnet Rock and Cape of Good Hope, both winners and both leaders of the Global Sprint Challenge, but these things happen in racing, and unfortunately he couldn't make it. But Cape of Good Hope's here. We've got an American runner, we've got a Japanese runner in the second leg, the Golden Jubilee, later in the week. So we're delighted with the way it's all started.
It's a really good initiative for global racing. Well done. Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, one.
Well, we're just discussing the horses that are well in the paddock, and VAR looks absolutely magnificent, but the horse that went down early was the Tatling, trained by Milton Bradley. Now, how long did it take you to drive up, and when did you come?
We came last night. We left home about 5 o'clock, and we got here about 9:30 last night, and travelled well. Didn't have a lot of traffic problems, so
you did the right thing, because people who came up today got very stuck.
Yeah, I thought it would be terrible today, and it'd be worse the rest of the week, I think.
And you had a good 350 miles to come or so, but your horse today, 5 furlongs to travel, and no horse has done back-to-back winnings of the King's Stand since 1934.
Well, I didn't know that, but that's a long, long time, isn't it? And it makes it nearly impossible to do by the sound of it.
Yeah, but the horse doesn't know that.
No, the horse don't know it, and he's very well, so lucky in running. We run a big race, I think.
Well, good luck to you. And Milton, in his good luck suit, he said the monkey suits, they're not for me. But let's get full details on the King's Stand with Jim.
We've got a total of 16 runners, and this is the course they'll be taking. Same as the first, except a furlong shorter. 1,000 metres of 5 furlongs. The Tatling won it last year. Choisir from Australia the year before. Unfortunately, no Fastnet Rock this time. Let's have a look at them. 1 is Cape of Good Hope, Mick Cannan. 2, VAR, Johnny Murtagh. 3, Celtic Mill is Philip Robinson. Take out 4, Avonbridge. 5 is Ben Bourne, Pat Smullen. 6, Boogie Street, Richard Hughes. 7, Cheneur over from France, Christophe Lemaire, having his first ride at York. Number 8, Fair Jag, Willie Supple. 9, Mighty Bow from America, David Newish. Take out 10, Warren Reserves. 11 is Moss Vale, Michael Hills. 12, Night Prospector, Tom Quealy. 13, Orient Tour is Kieran Fallon. 14, Striking Ambition, Jimmy Fortune. 15, Texas Gold Mountain Dwyer. 16, The Tattling, looking for back-to-back wins, Darrell Holland. 17, Distinctly Game, Neil Cullen. And 18 is Tornadoes, the mount of Gary Carter. 2 out, 16 to go, and this 3:05, the King's Stand, a leg of the Global Sprint Challenge. It's Group 2.
Well, this is a very popular betting heat, and it's certainly turning out to be one of the most open I can remember. It's 11-2 each of 2 here. The support's been for VAR. They've done the 6 outs, touch 5, but you can still get 11-2 on the rails. Here's the complete showdown. 11-2 VAR in the Tattling, with 7-1 Cheneur popular, and Jim McGrath's tip for charity. Striking Ambition is 8-1, 9-1 Cape of Good Hope, who's been easy to back here. Oriental popular at 10s into 9s, with Mighty Bow 11s out to 12s. Celtic Mill and Moss Vale are both 14s, but that Moss Vale, there's been plenty of money queuing up to back it on the exchange. That's usually a positive sign, and that could go well at a big price. It's 16-1 and upwards bar those, but at the moment the Tattling and VAR are 11-2 joint favourites. The Tattling a big drifter, and VAR the one they backed.
Runners are down at the post then. Just before we have a little close look at the Tattling rate, jockeys in the first thing, it's a little bit loose on top of the ground.
Yeah, some of them were complaining that the horses couldn't actually get the toe in, but it was firm underneath. It was moving about a little on top, so they must have had a bit of water, and they had a bit of rain here yesterday. It's just making it possibly a little bit false. Some of them were concerned. Some of the horses here really like to feel their feet rattle, so it might not just suit a few of them.
Well, the Tattling, who's running for the 62nd time in his career today, won this race 12 months ago, but of course it wasn't here, it was down at Ascot. He doesn't really mind the ground, this horse. Interesting as we watch this, he's come from off the pace, because there are some of the fastest horses you will see racing in Europe in this race, aren't there? They're really going to go fast.
Yes, we've got about 6 or 7 front runners who'll hit the gauge, and they'll be rocking and rolling all the way down this straight. They might just go too fast, but the race should be run to suit this fella. He's very, very honest, and he's against the stands rail, and he'll have plenty of horses around to take him along. He's going to have a great chance here. He ran a very, very commendable race last time under a penalty. He hasn't got the penalty today. He's got a good chance.
I think as well as trainer Milton Bradley rather thought he left him a bit short before Sandown last time. Hit the front and he blew up. But
very unusual for Milton.
Now there is VAR, is being backed in to be joint favourite. He came from the States to join Clive Britton, turned very quickly last season into one of the best sprinters when we saw him on Arc Day winning the Prix de l'Abeille, which was on officially good ground. The Tattling, we'll see again, is in second place in this. This horse, VAR's made all in that. He's going to try and do the same again today.
Yes, Johnny rides him today. Frank obviously suspended. He's a very, very quick horse. He was drawn on the outside this day, and it may just have suited him because he was a little bit away from the other horses. He had the field blitzed and in trouble from halfway, and he stuck on really, really well. The Tattling just couldn't get far enough back to nail him back near the line. But 5 furlongs here will suit him today, but they might just go a bit too quick in front. You never know what's going to happen.
Okay, and he's just going forward into the stalls.
Interesting runner in this race is Boogie Street. He ran well in this race last year. Richard, he's had somewhat of an unorthodox preparation this time round.
Yeah, we took him to Salisbury the other day. Now I'm just afraid he was very disappointed there. I mean, I don't know exactly what happened, but we took him home, we scoped him, he's clean, so we decided we'd come up here, you know. So
that was obviously on Sunday. Has he shown you at home that he's fine since then?
Well, yeah. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't be here. But he's scoped clean. Everything's fine with him as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what happened there. We might have just taken him too far out of the race, and he just sulked a bit and lost a bit of interest.
Richard, good luck.
Okay,
There's Cape of Good Hope walking forward into the stalls. He ran second in this last year, third in the Golden Jubilee, fourth in July Cup. Good sprinter.
Top class horse, come here in very good form from a great run behind Silent Witness in Hong Kong. He's a smashing horse and very tough and very, very honest.
Here he is. This is him running back at Hong Kong in December. the big sprint race they have there. He seemed to travel over here last year without any problems, so I think we can expect him to do again the same this year.
I would imagine he comes in similar form as he did last year, so he's going to run a similar race. When he ran the July Cup, he had a very bad draw, and he stayed on well there too, so he's going to run to the race will be run to suit him. They'll go very, very quick.
Okay, seems 5 or 6 furlongs doesn't suit. Mind him, there's Christophe Lemaire on Cheneur going in. He's a bit worried about being slowly away, which could be a major problem in this.
If he's slowly away, any chance he will have will be lost at the start.
Well, it's going to be fast and furious. Here's Jim.
Certainly is, Barty. Nearest the camera there, Mighty Bow, David Newish, over from the States. Now, last year's winner, the Tatling, will be one of the last to be loaded, simultaneously with Fair Jag. Now, just about ready. Standing by for a start of the 5. They're set and they're racing. Pretty good even break too. On the far side, Ben Bourne was a fraction slow into stride. VAR going very fast early, and Boogie Street is up there as well. Distinctly Game not that far off the pace from Celtic Mill and Mighty Bow on the near side. Over on the far side, Cape of Good Hope is there with Ben Bourne, and right there in the centre, Tornados. Further back is Moss Vale, Fair Jag, Cheneur in the centre. Well back is Texas Gold at this stage with the Tatling near last. 2.5 furlongs to go. They're almost at halfway now, and Cape of Good Hope giving a good sight over on the far side, but VAR leads them up the centre here. Battling on well as Boogie Street, running a big race. Cheneur is starting to run on well now from Mighty Bow. It's Boogie Street in front though as they come up with a furlong to go. Cheneur challenging on the far side now from Cape of Good Hope. Cheneur for France. Christophe Lemaire, it's a big week for him. He's going to win the King's Stand. Cheneur careering away, goes on to win it well. Boogie Street is second, Photo third. Moss Vale there with Cape of Good Hope. Behind them is Mighty Bow, and further back Far Fair Jag, the Tatling. They're followed then by Distinctly Game and one of the last, Texas Gold. Cheneur has won it in the colours of the Marchesa de Moratella, trained by Mikel Desongles and ridden by Christophe Lemaire. He's first right at York. Second is Boogie Street, put the Salisbury run right behind him. Moss Vale in a photo there for third on the near side. Might have just snatched it from Cape of Good Hope for Hong Kong on the far side. Mighty Bow behind them, then VAR. Further back then is the Tatling. Tight next between Fair Jag on the top of the screen and Distinctly Game in the pink colours. Then Tornados. Further back in the field then Night Prospector. They're followed then by Striking Ambition. Orient Tour didn't strike a blow. Celtic Miller's next, Texas Gold well out the back with Ben Bourne. But Cheneur, ridden by 26-year-old Christophe Lemaire, who rode Divine Proportions to win the Prix de Diane at Chantilly on Sunday, and has come here, his first ride at York. He was talking beforehand about the new experience of coming here on a new track. He was worried about this horse missing the start. He didn't. He got away fairly well. And look at the delight on the face of this young rider. 7, Cheneur is the winner. Second, number 6, Boogie Street, Richard Hughes, ran a very poor race at Salisbury and yet has run second today, and that was on Sunday. 7 to 1 Cheneur, 16's Boogie Street, and 14 to 1 Moss Vale. Moss Vale ridden by Michael Hills, officially third, and Cape of Good Hope, Mick Cannan, officially fourth.
And Jim McGrath is being too modest to say that he tipped Cheneur, and he's won a good deal of money there for charity. Now, Cheneur in the red colours coming through now. Very fast away was Boogie Street, who really has run brilliantly. I watched him on Sunday at Salisbury when he was so disappointing. Couldn't believe that he could bounce back just 2 days later and look like he was going to win the King's Stand. Looked like it until the last half furlong, and that's where Cheneur just starts to pull away. Running on really well from mid-div was Barry Hills, his horse Moss Vale. His horses are running really well. You want to follow them for the rest of the week. And that looks like Cape of Good Hope finishing fourth on the far side. Another strong run from him. He'll be out again on Saturday in the Golden Jubilee.
Well, this horse, he come from right in the middle there, and of course he made up a bit of ground. Has been running on heavy ground, soft ground, good ground. He's never been on anything as fast as this, but being by Faslev, you would expect that he would handle this faster surface, and hasn't he done so? He's won this race really, really well, and he's obviously still improving. You know, sort of being a horse that has just sort of hit a vein of form the beginning of this season, and he's still improving, so possibly he's a horse that's going to be competing at the top level in all the Group 1 sprints. and he's going to take a lot of lowering his colours. Funny enough, the second horse, Boogie Street, is by Compton Place, and the first race, the second horse, was by Compton Place.
Well, I'll be very interested to hear what the time is. The course record here at York, 56.16 seconds, set by Des Jours in 1990, ridden by Willie Carson. And I know Jim McGrath will be able to tell us what the time was of this year's 5 furlong race.
Now, the time they've recorded, Claire, 57.55, and putting it in perspective, compared to standard time, it's 0.25 of a second faster than standard. And Des Jours' record is 56.16, as you were saying. So it's 1.39 seconds slower than Des Jours. But just the same, it's a very, very good performance by a young horse, by Fazliev. 4th win in a row. And he's a good type, Chineur. There he is. He knows he's in the winner's enclosure. Probably doesn't know the significance of this unique meeting. But a memorable winner just the same. Boogie Street second, and he ran a terrible race at Salisbury 2 days ago. But has run on for second. Moss Vale third, and Cape of Good Hope, so consistent from Hong Kong, has finished 4th.
Well, Chineur, the winner at 7-1, highlighted. Jim McGrath's £25 each way for charity, and Mike Dillon, his second successive winner. He's tipped both winners as the positives. 7-1 Chineur going with the first winner. So you've on to a great start, and he's gone for the Godolphin runner and for Ratke, so there might be some running up money there. Second, number 16, Boogie Street at 16, and Moss Vale at 14-1. I highlighted that just before the off. That was got the each way money if you followed that. But Chineur, 7-1, a win for France. They were joint favourites. They were unplaced. That was the Tatlin and Bar, but Chineur landed a touch for the French at 7-1.
Well, I'm down in the Winners' Enclosure with the winning trainer, Michael Dezong. Michael, your first runner at a Royal meeting before. How does it feel to be in the Winners' Enclosure?
Well, very, very well. Amazing he did so easy.
What expectations do you have coming over for this race?
Well, I expected him to run very well. He was last race was a very good race. He won easy, beating the Tatling. So I thought we had a chance.
He seems to be improving with every run. Just how far can he go?
Well, next step will be a Group 1, I hope.
And where will we see that Group 1 attempt?
Well, we have the choice between the National Stakes here in August, or we will for the Abbaye de Longchamp in October. We'll see how he is after that race.
And now that you've had a Royal winner, is this giving you the bug for some more success here?
Well, I hope so.
But very well done. Many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How many horses do you have for the Marquez?
There is the winner, and the lad who has accompanied him over from Chantilly, where Michael Dezong has a talented young team of horses, and he'll not forget today in a long, long time. The most significant win in his training career. And the times are fast, there's no doubt about that. And that's Rackety weather, it's Rackety conditions, that's for sure. Distances, in case you missed them in the previous race, the 3:05, 1 3/4 lengths and 1 length for that 7-1 winner, Chineur. Christophe Lemaire, the winning rider, very eloquent, charming and talented young rider. And that winner has done extremely well. There he is. I think he knows he's done his job well. He's by Fazliev, who was a brilliant 2-year-old. Injury cut short his career.
Yeah, Jim saying there about Fazliev, champion European 2-year-old, and then broke down very sadly and couldn't further his career. Mainly a sire of 2-year-olds, except in the instance of this horse, Chineur, who's a 4-year-old, and by the looks of things, still improving. Well, let's have another look at the King's Stand from the start, because this is where, over a race of this distance, an awful lot of difference is made. There's the Tattling in the middle. Now, the American horse on the left, Mighty Bow, Just slightly takes a full step there, and oh, he does, and goes left-handed, and really interferes badly with the Tatling, last year's winner, and also in the pink colours. Distinctly Game looked like he suffered a little bit, but let's have a word with Mighty Bow's jockey, who is with Lydia now.
Yeah.
So you can't really do a lot of steering.
I'm here with Dave Nish. We were already talking about it, actually, that incident that you just saw. We're going to show it right from the very start. And I was going to ask you whether he does that normally from the stalls. Does he lean left?
It was kind of a combination thing. I mean, he anticipates it just because he's used to turning to the left. And a lot of the sprint races, you don't have a whole lot of time getting to the turn, you know, back home in the U.S. But what happened here, he breaks so brilliantly sharp. Normally, the ground broke away from his hind end, and you'll see a big clod probably fly up, and what he did is it kind of got him a little bit off balance, and it took him a couple strides to recover, and I think that cost him position early, which probably cost him position in the end, you know, all in all.
He ran a really good race. I mean, you ended up finishing 5th, and you can see here that he's got a lot of early speed. As we come to know American speedsters, they really are fast.
And like I said, he would have been laying up closer or even more comfortable at this point had he gotten away super clean, you know, and it was just one of those deals. He tried to break so hard and the ground kind of gave way.
Did you enjoy it, your first time?
Yeah, it was good. It was brilliant. I mean, of course, we'd love to get the win. You know, all things equal, I think that would have made a lot better experience. But yeah, it was fun.
And how different is it riding in Britain compared to America?
The ultimate goal is still the same, but there, you know, there's a few finer points to work with, and we don't have very much straight racing over there. But all in all, it was good.
Okay, well done today, and hopefully we'll see you over here again.
Thank you. All right.
That's David Noosh, who was on board Mighty Bow's. Good talker, isn't he?
Oh, most Americans are. They're very much used to talking to the media. They just seem to have a school that makes old jockeys in America very, very good.
Well, there's a very, very chatty Fred Truman down there as well, who, along with Frank Typhoon Tyson, who's also a very accomplished cricketer, they're making the presentation to Michel Delsonge, his first Royal Ascot runner, his first Royal Ascot winner with Chaneur in the King's Stand Stakes, and we'll be having a word with both Tyson and Truman when we come back on BBC Two. We're very shortly going to switch channels. We've got the St James's Palace Stakes to come. We've got the Queen Anne as well. Lots of emails and texts coming in, and you can keep sending them. And Amanda from York says tomorrow is set to be very, very wet. So do the fashion team suggest that we come in our finery and get hats and shoes ruined, or should we come in sensible northern clothes, i.e. our wet weather gear? So very quick answer. What do you think?
I'd say to come in your northern gear, personally, but then I'm not a fashion victim. James, what do you think?
I'd say dress up for the hell of it and wear a fur coat.
There you go.
Definitely. Mixed advice then from our fashion team. You'll hear more from them on BBC Two as well. Lots of emails coming in from Australia. Lots in support of Karen McAvoy, who's got big rides still to come. Shamadel in our next race.
In Australia, he should be in bed.
Yeah, it'll be very early in the morning though. They're, what, 11 hours ahead. But Adam Mayer is watching and loving the international coverage down here in Oz. And Marty in Melbourne says enjoying the telecast over here and hoping for a few winners. Come on, McAvoy. And also Starcraft, who was trained in Australia. He's being mentioned as well. He takes on Rakti and the Queen Anne.
I don't think they enjoyed the telecast yesterday, would they, with the cricket?
No, the 2020, but we'll talk to Fred Truman about that, and he'll probably say 2020 doesn't matter.
Jim McGrath, we've let him off lightly, haven't we?
Well, given that he's tipped a 7-1 winner, I don't think we should give him too much stick, because Jim McGrath did suggest Chaneur, who bolted away with the King's Stand. So far we've had a loose horse before the first race. We've seen victory for Barry Hills with red clubs in that. That was the Coventry. We've seen a very impressive win for Chaneur, and we've seen a huge crowd here. The sun isn't shining, the wind is blowing slightly, but still everybody enjoying themselves. It's a wonderful atmosphere here at York. We've got 3 more live races still to come on the BBC, lots more fashion as well, lots of chance for you to get your comments in, any questions you may have from the team, but to do so, turn over now.
There is a land of great diversity and incredible natural beauty. There is a land where 53 countries sit side by side, but not always comfortably. There is a land where 1,000 different languages unite more than 700 million voices. Welcome to...
And that was won by the French horse Chaneur, a colt trained in France by Michel Delsonge, which is a terrible pronunciation, ridden by Christophe Lemaire, and he remains unbeaten so far this season. He won by a length and 3/4 from Boogie Street, and Moss Vale finished 3rd with Barry Hills on board. Now, we've had lots of sights out there, as James Sherwood put it, lots of good sights and lots of sights. Susie, give us more fashion.
Thanks for that one, Claire. Yeah, very good. Well, we have had some sights. Let me ask you firstly about your impressions. And we've been out there for about an hour getting blown around. What do you think?
Well, I noticed that skirts are a lot shorter up north. I think they're probably hardier, these ladies, but they do seem to be 2 or 3 inches shorter than they should be. You know, I've seen so many dresses that I think, oh, that's a lovely dress if there was more of it.
Well, you've got a hardy northern lady next to you, Linda Barker. What do you think?
I don't know. I think you're inferring that, you know, it's tradition, isn't it? If you go out into the cities up north, you see girls out there with the stilettos, the micro minis, and no jacket because they can't afford the jacket. And I think that's what James is inferring, which I think is a little cruel. But yeah, I admit there are a few short skirts about, but I think it's quite nice that they're, you know, that they are not kind of, it is a dull day, but they're not covering up, and I think they want to put on their finest clothes, and if it is a little short, well, so be it.
Let's have a look at some of the sights that we've been seeing this morning. We've seen some absolutely beautiful dresses and outfits as well, haven't we?
I do love that emerald green, super hat.
Lots of feathers this year as well.
The feathers are great, actually. I've seen some gorgeous feathers, from brightly coloured ones through to all the natural shades.
That's a beautiful hat, the lemon. The lemon's been a really strong colour this season. I mean, take Lydia, for example, who looks absolutely terrific today in lemon. I do like these sort of slightly top hat style treacy hats.
Yes, they're very cute, aren't they?
That's far too short, far too tight.
But she looks beautiful. I mean, very ergo colour. Lots of butterflies, I noticed, James. Lots of these feather butterflies in hats, which is quite sweet.
Yeah, I noticed last year, James, Philip Tracy did a lot of butterflies, didn't he?
He did. Darcy Bottle wore the most sensational red hat, swarming with butterflies with a navy suit. And it worked beautifully, absolutely beautifully.
Lots of black and white as well.
Red, you see, I'm rather partial to red myself.
Well, that looks like a huge opium poppy, and it's rather marvellous.
Wow,
it looks great with the, you know, the sort of champagne-coloured.
So there's big hats as well as the little cute ones too, isn't there, James?
I think it's really nice to see them back, the wide-brimmed hats.
Yeah.
You know, there is a comment that, you know, people can't come and greet you and kiss you, but I always say that's a good thing. Sometimes you don't want to be kissed by all and sundry.
Exactly back.
That's an interesting creation, James.
It's the Moulin Rouge, basically. You know, dressing for the Moulin Rouge.
You see, the thing with the big hats is the wind gets underneath, as I've noticed today.
I mean, they're super on a hot day, actually.
If you are coming to Ascot, actually, yeah, get some hat pins, because it's very blustery, isn't it, the next couple of days here?
That is gorgeous. I do love that black trim on there.
Yes, it's lovely.
And that's a cute shape, isn't it?
I've got a couple of emails here that you guys might be able to answer. First of all, James, one for you. Christine in Wakefield wants to know if bare shoulders are allowed for ladies.
Are they allowed for ladies or allowed for the Royal Enclosure?
Well, are you allowed at Royal Ascot at York to have bare shoulders?
It's really discouraged to wear bare shoulders in the Royal Enclosure. You know, the gatekeepers will probably frown on that quite a lot. You know, if you have something to cover them up, a shawl or a stole, then you're fine. But I always think it's a very good thing to keep your shoulders covered, especially when you're wearing a picture hat, because you know you need the great neckline to balance the hat. If it's all bare, you look a bit peculiar.
And also the rule for covering the crown of the head in the Royal Enclosure as well, isn't it?
Well, the gatekeepers will show a certain amount of lenience if you're dressed correctly and you have a very pretty fascinator that doesn't completely cover.
Got quite a controversial one from David Patrick here, just a quickie. Can everybody please stop criticising the North? We're not a bunch of incapable, slack-jawed yokels. Every year, York races are a success, and it's about time the South woke up and stopped being so ignorant.
Well, I have to
agree.
Fair
comment. Fair comment.
I have to agree. I mean, it's fantastic that Ascot is here this year, and I really sense a buzz about the place. And it's terrifically exciting. And it's certainly, you would just have one look out on the crowd today, and you would certainly not say that it was for yokels or whatever.
We really are making history, aren't we, here being at York?
Great.
It's terrific. More fashion to come, but for now, let's go see what Claire's up to.
Well, here's a man who's been enjoying the racing, presenting a prize as well. Frank Typhoon Tyson, a member of the winning England Ashes side back in 1954, was it?
You've got a very good memory for such a young lady.
It helps when you do a bit of work. And Fred Truman is here as well with his friend.
I've found.
Exactly.
Good to see you.
So we've got two absolutely outstanding
He's a bit older
bowlers.
than me, you know, Fred.
Well, you can say that. I couldn't possibly comment. Now, I wanted to ask, you emigrated to Australia, did you not?
Yes, in 1961, 62.
So you're back here just on a flying visit?
Oh, we've been back a lot of times, but I went out to teach. So I went out to a job in 61 and I taught for about 25 years out there.
So can you explain to me this indefatigable Australian sporting ambition and talent?
No, it's historically correct, in the sense that Australians are born with this sort of thought in their mind that they have to go back to England to prove that they're a better product than be produced by Mother England.
Well, talking of Australians, Fred, I'll come back and talk to you in a second if that's all right, but talking of Australians, the Australian jockey Kerrin McEvoy is with Lydia now.
And Kerrin McEvoy is the man on whom Godolphin's hopes rest this week, and it's the big one now. This morning you were going to be riding Dubawi, Kerrin. Now you're on Shamadal. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm happy to be on Shamadal. He's, he's shown us he's in great form in France his last two starts. So, he's back to the mile today, but he's got conditions to suit. Just hopeful of a good run now.
And how about the tactics? You're drawn 2. That must be pretty good for a front runner.
Yeah, it is. He's an easy horse to ride, and I've ridden him a fair few times at home. Haven't ridden him in a race, but if we begin quickly, then I imagine he's going to be in the first 1 or 2. See how we go from there.
And finally, how are you feeling about this big week? It really is a big moment in your career.
It is. It's an exciting week, and big crowd, and they've got some nice rides, so hopefully we can get some results.
Well, good luck. Maybe you can start here.
Thank you.
Very, very talented jockey, Kerrin McEvoy, and he'll be coming out here to the paddock in a minute or two. But we didn't get a chance to the man who first ever man to take 300 wickets for his country, Fred Trueman, and a Yorkshireman as well, and Willie, an old friend of yours.
Oh, yes, we've known many, many years, Fred. Now, what do you think of this 2020?
I don't even bother with it. It's rubbish. It's, I suppose it's all right for them that one slap bang wallop, But no, I'm a traditionalist and I love the game of cricket and I like to see it played properly. But I suppose that they have to find some sort of gimmicks to attract people to bring money into the game. So if it brings money into the game and we get it down to the grassroots, well, OK, but that's the only thing I'll give it. I don't want to watch it now.
Oh, but anyway, OK, you don't like 2020. What about the Ashes tour this year? Who's going to win it? Have we got a chance of winning it?
Oh, let's pray to our Lord above and say, yes, can we win it? I think it might be closer than they think, what the pundits are saying, but Australia must start favourites. What you've got to look at is that we've had a great run for the last 2 or 3 years, and you can only beat what's put in front of you. And I think that we've done that great. I think we've done it most handsomely. We've beaten what is in front of us. But the real test is now when we play against Australia. That's going to sort the wheat from the chaff.
Well, I can't let you go away as Yorkshire's greatest fast bowler. What about this one now? Darren Gough, he got 3 wickets last night.
Did he? I don't know. He's okay. He's not the worst bowler I've ever seen.
I've wound you up before over him, haven't I?
No, you have a lot of people try to do that. I mean, I don't care whether he does well or not. I wish him well, of course I do. And if he's playing against Australia and he beats Australia, I say, well bowled, Darren, good lad.
OK, well, thank you very much. That's Fred. Well done.
It's great to see Fred Trueman and Frank Tyson both here enjoying the racing. 2 wonderful names from past years gone by in the world of cricket. Now, these 3-year-old colts in the paddock now for the St James's Palace. And just before we get the race details, I will mention to you that the second favourite, Inda Satchel, looks like he sweated out quite badly and he's just looking a bit tucked up and tight in the paddock. It would put me off him a bit, whereas Shamadal looks very relaxed and very well indeed. But Jim McGrath is a man who will be keeping a close eye on the Ashes and all things Australian, obviously. He's now got the details for this race.
Well, this is the big one, the first of 2 big ones today, the St James's Palace Stakes, Group 1, over a mile. Last year's winner, Azamore, fancied in the Prince of Wales Stakes. Tomorrow, Zafine the year before, and Rock of Gibraltar, what a horse he was in 2002. That's the course they take, and here are the runners and riders. 1 is Ad Valorem, one of 2 runners in the race in the Magnia colours. This is the all pink second set of colours, Mick Cannan. Take out Dubawi, non-runner. 3 is Inda Satchel, Jamie Spencer. 4 is Candidate, Seb Sanders. 5 Oratorio, the first set of the Magna colours, Kieran Fallon taking the ride. 6 is Rock Amador, 3rd in the French Derby last time, Ted Durkin. 7 is Shamadal, Kerrin McEvoy on this one now, switches from Dubawi, as in the original declarations, but Dubawi's out. 8 is Tucker, Richard Quinn, and 9 Vanadium, Eddie Ahern. They're the 8 runners for the St James's Palace Stakes, Group 1 over a mile.
Well, Sharmadal is the favourite, and those that follow us earlier in the day will know that Willie Carson's got his charity money on, and Mike Dillon looking for a treble, having took the first 2 winners. Sharmadal has been back from 7-4 into 13-8. Indesatchel, Claire said, sweated in the paddock, and that's been reflected here in the market. Out to 3-1 from 11-4, for 5-2 was the first show. But Sharmadal 13-8, 3-1 Indesatchel. It's 13-2 Oratorio, 9-1 Bar. And really, aside from the favourite, not been too much action on the others, Sharmadal is the one that the bookies want to get beat.
Well, here we are in the paddock then, building up for our first big race of the meeting. There is Sharmadal, winner of the French 2,000 guineas and also the French Derby. Both times Ray made the running, and people have rather detracted from the horse somehow because they've gone on about the great ride that Frankie gave him. And I'm not saying he didn't, he did. But it takes a lot for a horse to make all the running in a top quality race.
Yes, he popped out in front. And he let him a gallop, then he eased him back and got a nice breath into the horse. And he picked up well, and he stayed on very nicely in both races. A very tough, honest, genuine horse. I just had a nice look at him there in the paddock, and he looks absolutely fantastic. Very, very cool. He's a very tough professional animal.
Yeah, this is his French Derby victory. He's dropping in trip today, back to the trip he run over before in the French Guineas. Any problems?
I don't think so. He's a very professional animal.
Here on the parade ring with David Watchman. David, we spoke before Fracas was fourth in the Derby, but Indesatchel just touched off behind Sharmadal in the French Guineas. How has he been since?
We're happy with him. He's hasn't run for about a month. He's in good form. His work is good at home.
Claire was saying he's being a bit old paddock. That concern you?
Yeah, it's better.
He's improving.
Seems to be. Yeah.
French Guineas.
Yeah, but having said that, the winner's probably a good horse. You know, he's a hard horse to get by, I'd say. So we'll know more later on.
But Sharmadal has been to France again. You know, has had a hard race in the French Derby. You've come here reasonably fresh.
Yeah, that might be an advantage to us, but I'd say most of those Giants Causeways are tough, hardy horses, so no problem.
Best of luck.
Thanks.
So the runners are now parading in front of the stands for this, the St James's Palace Stakes over a mile, Group 1. Number 1 is Ad Valorem, one of 2 runners trained by Aidan O'Brien, and this one ridden by Mick Cannan, winner of last year's Middle Park Stakes, but has not run since October. Number 3 is Indesatchel, winner of the Greenham Stakes at Newbury earlier this year, second to Sharmadal in the French 2,000 guineas. David Watchman bringing this over from Ireland, and Jamie Spencer in the saddle. 4 is Candidate, Longshot, who ran 3rd in the 2,000 guineas at Newmarket. He was 3rd also in the Craven Stakes. Clive Britton training this one, Seb Sanders riding. 5 is Oratorio, the first set of the Magna colours. Aidan O'Brien the trainer, Kieran Fallon riding this one, well beaten in the Derby, but had run reasonably well in the 2,000 guineas at Newmarket, and a good run for second at the Curragh. 6 is Rocamadour, who was promoted to 3rd in the French Derby last time. He's a nice type by Celtic Swing. Ted Durkin rides this for Mick Channon. Number 7 is Sharmadal, who now carries the hopes of Godolphin, Karen McAvoy, and also Saeed bin Sarur, winner of the French 2,000 guineas and the French Derby. 8 is Tucker, trained by David Ellsworth, owned by Ray Richards, and Richard Quinn rides this one, a good type, who was second to Proclamation in listed class last time at Goodwood. And finally, number 9, Vanadium, trained by James Given, Eddie Ahern riding, and Vanadium has won 2 of his last 3 starts.
Well, away from the hubbub of all the attention on the St James's Palace Stakes, the favourite for the Queen Anne Stakes, Rakti, has just arrived by horse box. He's just away over there. Now, his attitude, his behaviour before the race provide the telltale signs of whether he'll be ready for the big race, the Queen Anne Stakes. A lot of people have said that if he starts throwing his head around, that's the first sign that he's losing his cool and his temper. In a moment, the other horses will flash past in front of us, but at the moment, he seems pretty well behaved. As I said, the telltale signs as to whether Rakti is losing his or not is whether his head's bobbing right, and whether his jockey, when he gets on board him and or the Queen Anne Stakes paddock, doesn't have control over him and the way he's behaving. But at the moment, Rakti is A-OK.
So the runners making their way across onto the far side of the course for the mile start, the first race we've had on the round course here at York. This is a pretty even and good track, isn't it, this round course here, Ray? There shouldn't be any problems for anybody. No advantage, no disadvantage.
Not really, no. It depends. I would surprise. I think Kieran McAvoy might pop out here and he just pop off to the front. If someone wants to go a little bit faster, he'd be quite happy to take a lead. But people keep saying Frankie Dettori been suspended, but this horse won't lack nothing here from the saddle. Kieran McAvoy, a very, very talented young rider.
Well, Sharbadal remains the 13-8 favourite with Indisatchel at 3-1. Oratorio is 13-2. It's 9-1 bar. The market's pretty stable here. Sharbadal hasn't come in for any more support, but it's very popular at 13-8. I can't see it going any bigger with Indisatchel 3-1, and that one's gone out from 5-2. But Sharbadal, a good favourite at 13-8.
Well, there's the second favourite, Indisatchel, on the way down to post. Beaten only once this season when today's favourite, Sharbadal, beat him in the French 2000 Guineas. On that day, I thought Indisatchel was a little bit unlucky. He had a quite high draw round Longchamp, which isn't ideal.
It's not ideal because the turning right-handed and the horses down near the rail have an advantage on you. But he still ran a very good race and he came there with every chance. You know, he's going to have every chance here again today because there's not much between some of these horses.
No, not at all. His 4 wins have all come on much softer ground today.
Yeah, that's the only worry for me. He handles soft ground really, really well and he can quicken up in it. Whether he's going to adapt to these sort of conditions is a different matter. But I think the ground was quick enough in France, possibly.
OK, now with the red headgear is Oratorio. There he is, the chosen one of the Ballydor team with Kieran Fallon riding. It's interesting they put a visor on because this year's had 3 runs. He's had 3 different jockeys. They all must have come back and said he's not quite concentrating. He needs some help.
Well, he looks like when he ran in the 2000 Guineas, he was labouring from a long way out. So maybe they've talked it back and thought that, well, maybe this fella shouldn't be labouring like this in his races. He maybe needs to concentrate a bit more, and that's why they've equipped him with this visor. If it brings along necessary improvement, he hasn't got to improve much to be thereabouts.
No, he comes here after running in the Derby when he was 10th and quite patently, I think, failed to stay.
Didn't stay at all, not at all.
So he drops down a half mile into today's contest. The Yellow Sleeves is candidate. Seb Sanders rides this. Of course, he was a huge price when he ran in the 2000 Guineas, 100-1 chance. He finished in 3rd there. Oratorio and Tucker were both behind him. There is a chance on fast ground, which I think he likes. He could run a big race.
He has got the form here to come and run a cracker here. It was a great run in the 2000 Guineas. I think the ground and the race here when he ran in the Dante just came much too quick for him. And I think this is more his trip and his sort of ground.
And trained by Clive Britton, who's won this many, many years ago twice. Radetzky was the last of his win in 1976.
Yes.
Did you ride in that race?
More than I did, actually.
Averroff in 74 was the other one that Clive was trained as well. But a man you can never rule out, and this horse, remember, has been classic placed already. Rocamadour, he drops like Sharbadal back from the 1.25 miles of the French Derby to a mile here. He's won his 2 previous races, but he'd made the running in both of those. They weren't great races, to be honest.
They were small field conditions races where he totally dominated from the front. He popped out and went and sat in front, and then he really quickened up from the front. But he still ran a good race last time. He turned up 2nd behind the horse in the French Derby, and he ran a very credible race. But I think this is more his trip.
7-4 the favourite now, Sharbadal. It's that's as big as it's been, and it's gone back out to that price. Indisatchel 3-1. It's 7-1 Oratorio, who's weak in the market. Ad Valorem, they've just done the 9 Nat into 8, and they've taken the 16-1 Nat Rocamadour. But the favourite, Sharbadal, now pretty solid, and I think that's almost certain to be at starting price, 7-4.
That's nice, Kumani.
Well, tactics for this race will be interesting. We saw Frankie Dettori, when he won the French Derby on Sharbadal, did it from the front. and it was widely acclaimed as a brilliant bit of riding, but whether Kerrin McEvoy will be able to lead easily today, I'm not sure. What do you think?
Well, it's not whether he'll be able to do that. Will they allow him to do that? After watching that, every jockey knows that Shamadal, if you leave him alone in front, he's going to give you a hard time. He's going to be a hard horse to get to, because Frankie was allowed to do what he wanted, go his own pace. And don't forget, we're coming down 2 furlongs today, so there'll be a lot more speed involved. It won't be sort of sitting there going as easy. But I would imagine they won't change the tactics, but I'm sure they'll just jump out and let him go along in his hands. He won't ask him to go, so it's up to the other jockeys to sort of hustle him up and worry him.
And if you were riding one of the others, is that what you would do?
As long as, of course, I'd love to do that. As long as my horse was a horse that was quite cold type of animal, where you could get away with it. But if you're on a horse that's going to pull, you're going to have to put him in behind and wait. But if you're on a cold type of horse, a relaxed, lazy horse, that's exactly what I would do.
Let's have a look at some of the other ones. This is one that I've never seen before today, and I really like this horse. It's number 1, Ad Valorem, second string. From Aidan O'Brien's. Mick Kinnan takes the ride. Hasn't had a run, but he looks well. He looks really well muscled up.
He does indeed. Certainly looks a picture in the paddock, and a very, very good. If he is the second string, he's a very good ride for Mick Kinnan here. We've seen him last year at Newmarket. He stayed on nicely to win the Middle Park, and before that he won the Blenheim Stakes at the Curragh. He's a very, very smart horse in his own right, and I would imagine this horse got a great chance here.
Mick Kinnan knows all about riding the winner of this. He's won it with Giant's Causeway, Rock of Gibraltar, and last year with Azamore in recent seasons. Here's Tucker. He's a 20-to-1 chance, ridden by Richard Quinn. His form so far isn't good enough to win this, but what did strike me is that it's fast ground, and he will go on fast ground. There's a few question marks about the others about this.
Yes, he handles fast ground really well. He was unlucky at Goodwood last start. He ran into a very, very progressive young horse called Proclamation at Goodwood, and he was beaten fair and square there, but that was still a very good run. He's still improving, this fella.
And from David Ellsworth stable, which is having a fantastic run. And there is Vanadium, trained by James Given. He's had 3 runs so far. He won a maiden at Nottingham and a handicap last time at Sandown. This is a huge step up in class for him.
A big step up in class for this fella. Very attractive horse in the paddock. I should think he'll run a nice race, but he's got a lot to improve here.
That's why, of course, he's a 100-to-1 chance. Eddie Ahern rides him, and he'll come from stall number 8. So they've got down the post quite early. Is this going to disturb any of these horses or not?
Sometimes it can. Sometimes when they start just there around the mile and a quarter, they can get a little bit wound up because the gate back to the stables is just there. But as you can see, most of these horses are behaving really well. They're professional enough. They've had a lot of racing, so they know what's going to happen.
And there's Rocamadour, Ted Durkin riding this. Do you think he'll take Shamadal on for the lead, because this horse has led in the past?
I don't really think that Kerrin McEvoy will be bothered whether he leads or sits in behind. I think that Frankie's always said to me he doesn't have to lead. He's quite amenable with the lead, and he settles nicely in behind. So I don't think he's going to be too bothered about tactics. If they go a gallop, he'll go to the front. If they don't, he'll be able to sit in.
Now there's Shamadal. We just saw Into Satchel a few seconds ago, and he has got very warm, Dan, at the post. I think they're just starting to go behind the store, so he's disappeared from us at the moment, but you can see the white sweat on his neck. If
yes.
You're a jockey, is that worrying for you?
Well, this fella, I watched him one day at the Curragh, and he did get very, very warm down there, and it is a little bit worrying for him because it is not exactly a warm day. So I would actually be quite worried about him sweating this badly.
Yeah, his trainer, when I think Brian spoke to him a while ago, said he normally gets a bit warm, but he's getting more than a bit warm.
Yeah, he looks like he's about to boil over, actually. But yeah, that might be just the sort of animal he is, you know.
And Jamie will have to watch it, because he could mean the horse wants to go very fast in the early part of the race.
Yeah, but this fella's usually tucked in, he usually quickens up, so I would imagine he'll be taking a nice lead.
OK, well, I don't think there are too many more of them. Ad Valorem's going in, Vanadium's to go, but the man who can see exactly how many there are to go is Jim.
Thanks, Ian. Yes, they're locked away. There's Shamadal. Great opportunity for Kerrin McEvoy. His fan club are watching in Streaky Bay and other parts of Australia, that's for sure. He's already ridden 20 winners in Britain this year. Last year he had about 46 at the end of the season, so he's doing remarkably well. Rocamadour, the son of Celtic Swing. Rocamadour ran 3rd in the French Derby. Rocamadour pushed forward. That's it. Ready now for the St James's Palace. Stand. That's it. And they're racing. Candidate a fraction slow into stride. Shamardel on the near side is first to hit the ground from Tucker, and out wider then Candidate. Rocamadour and Indesatchel in behind. Looks like they're going to let him lead. Shamardel out in front here as they settle. Shamardel for Kieran McAvoy is the leader, from Candidate up on the outside. Rocamadour in the centre. In behind them Indesatchel, and being hunted along is Oratorio behind them. Further back in the field then is Tucker. They're followed by Vanadium, and Ad Valorem is out the back of the field, but it's Shamardel who's attempting to dictate terms again as they come to the 5. Leads from Rocamadour in the centre. Candidate the outside, the yellow sleeves. In behind them is Indesatchel from Vanadium, and well back in the field Tucker. They're followed by Oratorio, who's being scrubbed up on the inside by Fallon, and last is Ad Valorem into the home straight. Less than a half mile to travel, and it's Shamardel, the French 2,000 guineas and Derby winner, who's out in front from Rocamadour, is being pushed along. Then Candidate. In behind them as Indesatchel is being called on for an effort, but the leader's going easily as they race up the home straight here at York now, heading towards the 2, and Shamardel has skipped clear, has gone 4 lengths in front of Rocamadour and Candidate. Indesatchel behind them. Ad Valorem running on very late is the danger as they race up though towards the furlong. It's Shamardel. There's no danger. He's 6 in front, running on Ad Valorem, followed by Rocamadour and then Candidate, but Kieran McAvoy on Shamardel is going to romp home with the St James's Palace Stakes. It's Shamardel by 4. In second Ad Valorem, third Oratorio, followed by Rocamadour, and behind them is Candidate, followed by Tucker, then Vanadium, and Indesatchel, who boiled over, has finished a long last. Shamardel, what a horse he is. French 2000 Derby, and now St James's Palace wins from Ad Valorem. In third Oratorio, fourth Rocamadour, then Candidate behind them. They were clear of Tucker. And a long gap then to Vanadium, and tailed off Indesatchel, who's run no sort of race at all. But Kieran McAvoy, his biggest win on this Shamardel. What a remarkable horse he is. And he has ridden the coolest race, this 24-year-old from Streaky Bay. What a moment it is for him. Last year he ran second in the Derby, of course, second in the Guineas, and won the St Leger. And now he's proved an able substitute, an able deputy for Frankie Dettori, who's suspended. Number 7, Shamardel. Kieran McAvoy, 4 Godolphin and Side Bin Sarur. Second, number 1, Ad Valorem, ridden by Mick Cannan. Third, number 5, Oratorio, ridden by Kieran Fallon. And fourth, Rocamadour, ridden by Ted Durkin. 7-4 favourite, 8-1 and 13-2. They made the right choice, Shamardel.
Well, doesn't this prove what an embarrassment of riches Godolphin have in their yard? They had a slow start to the season, but they've been picking up classics with Dubawi and with this horse Shamardel, champion 2-year-old in Europe last year when he was trained by Mark Johnston, and he is absolutely scooted home in this. Made all the running, had the advantage of having the rail as well, coming out of stall 2, and Kieran McAvoy has steered him beautifully. Look at all the horses bunching up behind. He had them off the bridle with 2.5, 3 furlongs to run. Indesatchel was travelling for a while and then dropped out very tamely. Ad Valorem's run on from the back, but it was a one-horse race, Willie.
Absolutely, Claire, an absolute one-horse race. He just made the running, which he did only 9 days ago to win the Prix de Jockey Club at Chantilly, and he did it so well. And he's by Giants Causeway, who is in his second season as a stallion, and he's doing absolutely fantastic. But there you can see I'm getting a lovely pat down the neck there by Kevin, and he is a very good horse indeed. The way he did this over a mile, he won the Jockey Club over a mile, 2.5 furlongs, and today he's come back 2.5 furlongs and done exactly the same thing. Showed tremendous speed and class. What a tremendous horse this is.
Well, there'll be a few cheers in Streaky Bay tonight, the early hours of the morning. Kieran McAvoy coming back, he's an absolute delight. Clear to be seen there, his first Royal Ascot winner. This young Australian jockey, very talented, very unassuming, and has made a big impression in this, only his second year with Godolphin. And what a great moment for him to have won the St James's Palace Stakes here today. Second Ad Valorem, third Oratorio, fourth Rocamadour. But this was the stamp of a very, very good horse. Chamadel, having won the French 2,000 guineas and the French Derby, both ridden by Frankie Dettori. Now Karen McAvoy aboard for this 3-length win. Officially 3 lengths, a length and 3/4 between second and third. The time 1:37.18. There he is, Chamadel. He's by, there's the trainer, Saeed bin Suroor, but Chamadel's by Giant's Causeway, the horse they call the Iron Horse. And he certainly passed on a lot of his determination and his courage and galloping ability to Chamadel. The crowd lining the rail and applauding. There's Sheikh Maktoum Al Maktoum, ruler of Dubai and leader of the Godolphin stable. Sheikh Mohammed, of course, the inspiration, but Sheikh Maktoum is the ruler of Dubai, is the head. And a proud moment for the Maktoum family, because they've really believed in this horse. And a late decision made only minutes before we came on air this afternoon at 1:45, that Chamadel would carry the colours and not Dubawi. There's Sheikh Mohammed on the left. And a very, very proud moment for them. Sheikh Mohammed on the left, really hands-on with his involvement with the Godolphin stable. And Karen McAvoy, who's substituting today, standing in for Frankie Dettori, who's suspended. And he has made the most of a golden opportunity. He was able to go straight to the front. He judged the pace perfectly and has run out a 3-length winner.
Well, as Sheikh Mohammed and Sheikh Maktoum keep leading, Chamadel ran through to the winner's enclosure. I can grab away with Saeed bin Suroor, the winning trainer. You ran the right horse?
He's a great horse. You know, it's only 9 days since when he ran last time in his last classic in France. And we decided today, you know, after we saw the ground, we know he can't handle any ground. Then we know he's very tough, and always he tried to give the best. And Karen McAvoy, he showed he's the best also after Frankie.
he's the best of Frankie. Has Frankie been on the phone to say well done?
Well, not yet, but you know, I'm sure he'll be happy with that.
Well, they're milking the applause. I know watching the race, you were actually quite nervous watching him.
Well, you know, it is a tough race, and always looking forward to run and to win a big race, exactly in Royal Ascot. It is a great result for Godolphin and for Karen and the horse.
Well, I'll let you go and join in the celebrations. Thank you, Saeed. But just to say, he was concerned that because the French Derby was only 9 days ago, Saeed spent the whole of that race watching it with his fingers in his mouth going, oh no, maybe we've done the wrong thing. Well, they haven't. They did absolutely the right thing. What a tough horse that is. And it is almost certain that never in history has a horse won the French 2,000 guineas, the French Derby and then the St James's Palace, mainly because the French Derby used to be 1.5 miles and is now 1.25 miles, so it would have been almost impossible. But this horse has done it. 3 Group 1s in the space of about a month. Incredible.
And hammered the bookies in no uncertain terms. Chamadel tipped up by a bookie. Mike Dillon made it 3 out of 3 in those positives we gave to you earlier in the year, and it was Willie Carson's charity bet as well, and a very popular, well-backed 7-4 favourite. Second number 1, Ad Valorem at 8-1, and third number 5, Oratorio at 13-2. And Paddy Power makes Chamadel a 5-1 chance for the Breeders' Cup Mile. And Cashman's in Ireland think that there might be a match between Motivator and Chamadel in the Eclipse, and they would make the winner there even money against Motivator the Derby. That would be some match. But Chamadel lands the money, the first winning favourite at Royal Ascot at York, and a well-backed 7-4 favourite.
Yes, a unique treble by this colt Chamadel by Giant's Causeway. Unique, having won the French Derby and then coming back. There's Karen McAvoy on the left, Sheikh Maktoum there as well. But Even though there is the breeding of this colt, Shamardal. He's my Giant's Causeway, who of course is my Storm Cat out of Mariah's Storm, and Helsinki, I should say, by Machiavelli.
Well, walking across the paddock to go and greet his horse, Sheikh Mohammed looked really animated. You obviously have a great deal of affection for this horse and also for winning races at Royal Ascot.
Yes, it's great to win the races, and he's a tough horse. I mean, we made just a decision 1 hour before the race that to run him because of the ground. If it had rain, we would have run Dubawi, but this ground suited him and he ran well on it.
And sir, did you make that decision yourself?
With Sheikh Maktoum, yes.
Now, what are the qualities about this horse then? Because there aren't many that could come out of a classic 9 days ago and win a Group 1 at the Royal Meeting.
Well, I think he's a tough horse, you know, like his sire. Remember, his sire just improved with races.
Yeah, Giant's Causeway.
Yes, and he's also just improved with races.
And you bought him from Mark Johnston's yard to come into Godolphin. I mean, you must have seen something about his racing style that you
liked. I mean, he was the top 2 years old last year. I mean, he is well known that a good horse, but he proved it this year also.
Well, he and Dubawi are very much flying the flag, aren't they? When will we see Dubawi then, having not run today?
Well, we see him when he have his ground. You will see him, and for example, like taking the filly in France, Le Jacques Le Marois, and this horse may go to the Eclipse.
Well, I think now he's 3-1 with Corals for the Eclipse. Motivator's still 5-4 favourite.
Oh, really? Well, we're going to the Eclipse. If Motivator comes there, we'll come.
You think you could beat him?
I think at a mile and quarter, yes. I think so. He's a mile and a horse. He's a great horse as a mile and a half. But we're taking him on a mile and a quarter. I think we'll beat him.
It would be a great contest, and that's what you love.
Yes, that's what people love. That's what's good for people to see.
It's good to see you here as well. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. Aidan O'Brien had 2 runners in the St James's Palace Stakes, 2nd and 3rd. Aidan, you must be delighted, first of all, with the reappearance of Ad Valorem. Did he need the race at all?
Yeah, he ran a lovely race. Mick said, if you see there, he stumbled very badly when the stalls open, but he was delighted with his run.
And as for Oratorio, after Epsom, how much did that take out of him?
You know, he's a great constitution. He takes his racing very well. He came out with Epsom very well, and he's perfect there after the race. So he's a hardy horse, and he'll take plenty of racing. I think he'll improve with all the racing he gets.
And Aidan, it's good to obviously see them both come back after differing sort of problems. A Derby disappointment for Oratorio, and obviously taking a while to get Ad Valorem back. At the moment, would you have any thoughts about where you want to go with them?
No, I'm not sure. Good thing Ad Valorem looked to be coming home real well, so that we learned that he's going to get a mile, hopefully. Ontario obviously won't mind stepping up to a mile and a quarter, but we probably wouldn't go to a mile and a half anymore. But there's a lot of races open to both.
Aidan, well done with both.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
It was interesting, actually. I heard Mick Cannan saying to Aidan O'Brien about Ad Valorem, he stumbled coming out the stalls. He said, I didn't mean to be that far back, and finished really well. But we'll have a look at the whole race again, the St James's Palace, because Lydia has got Karen McAvoy with her, who I'm sure can talk through the winning ride.
And he's been receiving congratulations for his first winning ride at Royal Ascot at York as it is this year. How does it feel, Karen?
Yeah, over the moon. You know, I thought he'd run well. Obviously, that was an easy pick, but I didn't think he'd win like that. You know, he really quickened up and put it beyond doubt, sort of past the 2.
Talk us through the race right from the very start, because I was actually watching it in the betting shop, the Tote betting shop with Saeed bin Saror, and he was a little bit concerned in the early stages.
Yeah, I mean, he got a little bit sweated up before the start, and I hadn't ridden him on race day. He was a little bit keen to post, not bad, but I was happy with how he settled early. I saw a horse come to my girth sort of 3 furlongs down, and then he just quickened away. So, you know, I was pretty happy by the 2 pole.
At that point, you must have felt, my God, there's no horse that can come and get me now.
No, well, I looked at the big screen on my left and seen there was no horse within about 5 lengths of me, and in the end, I'd never even give him a smack with the stick. So it was great.
It's a really good performance from this horse, having just come out of the Prix du Jockey Club just 9 days ago.
That's right. You know, he's shown that he's tough and he's versatile. It's great to see him bounce back from a bad run in Dubai. You know, champion 2-year-old last year, and it's great to be associated with a horse like him.
And how do you rate him within the? I mean, obviously you could have ridden Dubawi.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's easy to say now, but I always thought Shamardal was, you know, was the easy horse to ride and the less complicated. So I'm glad that that the team, Sheikh Mohammed, decided to run him instead of Dubawi.
And how about the thought for Frankie Dettori, who would, of course, probably have been riding Shamadal had he not been suspended? He's ridden this horse to victory, 2 classic victories twice, good rides.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for Frankie. I suppose that's where being number 2 has its pluses. Of course, we had the Ledger last year when Frankie was away, and now this. It's bad luck for Frankie, but he's helped me tremendously since I've been associated with Godolphin, along with the whole team. So I'm sure he'll be happy for myself and also for the team as a whole.
I'm sure he will, done. You've seized the moment. Well done, Kevin.
Thank you. I'd just like to say a big hello to my family, friends, and also to Kathy back in Australia. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
A great smile from Karen McAvoy and also from Sheikh Maktoum Al Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai, who's receiving the trophy from the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall, just on the trophy presentation rostrum as well. And they look as if they're really enjoying the day. And I should think the Royal Box has been quite a place of fun. Actually, there was a story years and years ago. Queen Victoria was reportedly backed a winner at the Royal Meeting and smashed the window. She was so excited. So I understand they have reinforced glass now.
What are you saying, that the royalty do have a bet then?
They might just have a little lottery between themselves.
Well, enough to break windows then.
That was Queen Victoria, you know.
Yes, well, she was slightly eccentric, wasn't she?
You can say that?
I wasn't about at the time. You weren't either.
No, I wasn't. No. Anyway, we are going to be building up very soon to the Queen Anne Stakes, the second Group 1 of the day. But before we have a look at Rakti and how he's behaving, let's see how the crowd are getting on in their finery. Here's Susie.
Thanks very much, Claire. Yeah, we've seen some really beautiful scenes today, some fabulous images and lots of different styles. James, I want to ask you the question, do you have to be fashionable to be in fashion at Ascot?
Well, I think fashion's almost, you know, it's not always good news for Ascot, because this season we've got all the gypsy styles in, and it's going to look awful if you wear flip-flops and a peasant skirt to Royal Ascot. It isn't appropriate, it doesn't work. So fashion is not always your best friend, really, when you're dressing for Ascot.
So in a sense, then, special events like this almost have their own sense of fashion that possibly moves a little slower than the high street fashion that we see.
Well, I always say that the Queen rises above fashion. She's beyond fashion, and I think that's Royal Ascot. It's not necessarily about seasonal fashion. It's about dressing formally and looking immaculate and looking beautiful.
So is it also more about what actually suits you rather than what's the colour of the moment? Linda's been talking about colours all morning.
I think it's really amen to that, you know, that you do not wear something that doesn't suit you because it's fashionable. So if you think you look dreadful in turquoise, don't wear it just because it's the colour of the season. You know, it would be ludicrous to do that. You dress to suit yourself, really.
OK, James, thank you very much. More fashion a little bit later on.
Well, every once in a while we get things wrong here. And on the BBC, and earlier, when I thought it was Rakti, in fact, I was actually pointing out that it was Akimbo who was coming across the Knavesmire. That's why he was behaving so well. In fact, Rakti has just arrived, only just a couple of moments ago, and he came across, and he's just behind here. They've closed the door. You can just see his face. When he came over, he was just jig-jogging. As I was saying, the early signs of Rakti losing his cool is where he starts throwing his head around from left to right, trying to pull the rope that his lad, Bob McConaughey, has in his hand. And you can just see, if you can just come round here, you can just see his head just beginning to bob. Now, he's got to keep calm. It's up to Bob, who's looked after Rakti for a very long time now, to keep him calm. When he comes out into the parade ring and he starts walking around, you'll really see then just whether or not Rakti, as they say, is up for it.
Well, the rest of the runners are mainly in the paddock behind us. And we'll just have a look at something. Prince Charles. Saying congratulations to Sheikh Mohammed after Shamadal's success. And Princess Haya of Jordan, Sheikh Mohammed's wife. Duchess of Cornwall saying hello as well. Now, that was an Australian success for the jockey Karen McAvoy, which I know will have pleased many viewers in Australia. They've been emailing and texting in already. And we have an Australian interest in our next race, courtesy of a horse called Starcraft. Well, with me now is the man who runs the Australian syndicate, who owns Starcraft. We're just seeing a shot there of Rackty, who's come into the paddock and actually looks all right at the moment. But going back to Starcraft, Paul, you must be amazingly proud of this horse. He's so versatile.
He's a wonderful horse, yeah. He's wonderful. He'll be very competitive today, I think.
I mean, he's won Group 1s from 7 furlongs up to a mile and a half.
Yeah, he's won 3 Group 1s. Yeah, he's probably a, I don't know, 1,800 metre horse, mile and a furlong. Ghost Zapper type distance, you know, something like that.
So why did you decide to bring him over to the UK?
Well, I lived here off and on for many years, and I've always wondered how the Australian horses would compare. I wanted to come and race at the highest level, and I've met Rackty when he's in good mood, so that's perfect. So we'll see how we go.
Well, Choisir a couple of years ago did a double here at Royal Ascot, winning the King's Stand and the Golden Jubilee, and that must have caused a big stir at home.
It did. That's helped us. Paul Perry beat me to the punch. I wanted to be the first to do that, but maybe I'll be the second.
Well, I hear your horse has been burning up the gallops in Newmarket.
Yes, he's been working very well, and he's in good order, but he might need the run. That's the only thing we're worried about. Wait and see.
Okay, so underlying all that confidence, there is just a tiny bit of doubt, is there?
There's always, if you come to Royal Ascot and try and beat the European Horse of the Year, you know.
Well, you've got a lot of support, so good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, let's have a look at the full details on this Queen Anne Stakes. It's a high-quality renewal, it really is. Philip Robinson is just going across to get a leg up on Rackty, whose head is not going from side to side at the moment. He's such a big bull of a horse. He really is a strong individual, and you can see how much the muscle stands out on him. But he has not won back-to-back races since 2002. Michael Jarvis just struggling. You're just turning him away from the crowd because he does kick out. And it's a rather long drawn-out ordeal, but Philip Robinson is safely in the saddle. I don't know, it's always pretty close with him. The Queen is watching closely. She would know exactly what she's looking at, and everybody wondering whether or not this horse is going to perform at his very best today, and we will know, well, in a few moments or so, but let's get the details on this race with Jim.
Second Group 1 of the day, Queen Anne Stakes. And the same course as in the previous race. Pretty sharp bend, pretty sharp left-hander, and then right up this very long home straight. Last year, the race won by Refuse to Bend. The year before, Dubai Destination, and No Excuse Needed. Won it in 2002. Let's have a look at the runners and riders. 1 is Akimbo, Richard Hughes. 2, Babadana is Neil Callan. 3, Hurricane Allen, Ryan Moore. 4, Mac Love, Gary Carter. 5 is Martillo, the mount of Stefan Pasquier. 6 is Pastoral Pursuits, Stephen Drown. Number 7, Prince Kirk, Marco Monteriso. 8, Rackty, Philip Robinson. 9, Starcraft, now trained by Luca Kamani, Darrell Holland. And 10, Velixa, is Christophe Soumille. Here's Rackty, and he's broken the parade. He's not parading. He's gone straight to the start. And, oh, he is out of control. Totally out of control. And unfortunately, it's the other Rackty who's turned up here today. And across the wide expanse here of the Knavesmire, he is totally unsettled. Philip Robinson doing his very, very best to get him back. But mentally, he is out of the game. Well, he was meant to parade in front of the stands with the other 9 runners for this Queen Anne Stakes, but they've ended up, I'd say, half a mile, 3 furlongs away from the paddock. He's now got hold of him. Every effort was made to keep him calm. They boxed him over. They got him to the saddling boxes. But let's go back to the parade now. Number 1 is Akimbo, trained by Henry Cecil. The Abdallah colours, and Richard Hughes taking the ride out of the very good mare All at Sea. 2 is Babadana, winner of the Lincoln Handicap in his time. Likes a bit of dig in the ground. It's very fast today. A 66-to-1 chance, saddled by Mark Tompkins. Neil Callan rides. 3 is Hurricane Allen, pretty versatile horse on his day. Winner of the Betfred.com mile at Sandown for the 2nd successive year. Richard Hannon training, and Ryan Moore in the saddle. Number 4 is Mac Love, trained by John Akehurst and ridden by Gary Carter. That's the one in the yellow armlets just behind in the check cap. Second to Racti in the lock-in stakes at Newbury 2 starts ago. Number 5 is Martillo, who's over from Germany. Horse, a 5-year-old by Anna Barr and trained by Ralph Suerland. Number 6 is Pastoral Pursuits, trained by Hughie Morrison. Pastoral Pursuits having his first start in 248 days. Stephen Drown aboard. 7 is Prince Kirk, Marco Monteriso from Italy, saddled by Emilio Borromeo. And let's just break off from this parade and go and have a look at Aracti again. And he's well out of the game, of course. And Philip Robinson doing his very, very best to get this brilliant horse on his day back to a little bit calmer. 9 is Starcraft, this New Zealand-bred horse by Soviet Star, trained by Luca Comandi now at Newmarket, ridden by Darrell Holland, an AJC Derby winner at Randwick in Sydney. Number 10 is Velixa, owned by His Highness the Aga Khan, trained by Andre Favre and ridden by Christophe Simeon, winner of the Prix d'Ispahan. So they're the 10 runners for the Queen Anne Stakes, all bar Racti parading in front of the stands, and are now breaking off and heading towards the post on the far side. Let's have a look at the betting with Angus.
Well, this has been the most amazing thing. When the pictures that we broadcast just a few minutes ago were shown on the big screen here at York, Radke was 4 to 5 and very, very solid. It is now being quoted at even money, and the bookmakers, you feel, are out to get it. Valixia is a solid favourite, and 1 or 2 shrewd judges are backing that one each way. And there's also been an interesting move for the top one, Akimbo, 33 into 25 to 1. That's a big one against the field. Hurricane Allen also supported at 22 to 1. But it's this Radke, it's all centring around it. It was quite amazing. 4 to 5, it was solid. I didn't think it was going to get any bigger, and then suddenly evens. And Valixia is the each way move in the race. 5s into 4s. Those that make it pay punting are on that each way.
One horse making his 3rd successive appearance here at the Royal Meeting is Martillo, the German trainer. I've got Simon Minch, who's the stud manager for Gestüt Honeyhoff, who owned the horse. Simon, he's come here before, he's come to Ascot before and run really well. Why is he going to improve this year, and has he got a chance of beating Racti?
Well, I mean, to beat Racti, it's going to be a very tall order after what he did in the Lockhinge, but we'll be in there boxing. I mean, I think he's got a good each way of a place. He was 3rd in the St James Palace Stakes 2 years ago. He didn't take to the straight course last year at in the Queen Anne. I think that the bend of the course will suit him this year, and we'll be in there fighting for place.
Okay, well, good luck, Simon. If you just want to come with me, because I've got Bob McConaughey, the lad of Racti. Now, Bob, you obviously know this horse inside out, Racti. Now, just tell us, is he under control? Is he behaving himself? Can he win?
Yes, no he is. Yeah, no, always the first 100 yards, he always is a problem to Philip can anchor him, and he seems to have done that now. He looks calm enough for me. I'm happy with him now, the way he's gone down now.
How hard has it been to keep him under control?
No problem. He was good today. That was good for him.
Okay, so you're pretty confident?
Yes.
Good luck, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's the thing with this horse. It's all relative. You know, he's never perfect. He's never perfectly behaved. And it was interesting, Philip Robinson electing to take him out well before the parade had even started. He didn't take him down in front of the stands. He just turned right and took him off down to the 1 mile start. And Willie, you were saying all along, don't worry about it.
No, why worry about it? He's always like this. He's always a problem. And so he's just doing what he normally does. And Philip, as you saw, had a little bit of a problem the first 100 yards. As the lad had said, he did have a problem. But look at him there. He's walking around fine. Now, all he has to do is for things to go right in the race. That is more important. To get the horse settled, which I'm sure he will do.
Well, I tell you, Yami's down there and it's going to help him go in the stalls. And I'm not sure he's having an easy time.
Yami's just having a little word with him, saying, "Come here, you. Just behave yourself and stop being naughty." And of course, the horse needs a little bit of hard handling.
Just to mention, I thought Starcraft was beginning to get a bit fizzed up as well. And actually, the pick of the paddock was Valix here. And if I was going to back something to
that's the one.
Going to beat Racti, I'd back Valix here. But Brian Gleeson is down at the start, and he can tell us about Racti and about the others.
Yes, Claire, I'm down here at the mile start. You see Philip Robinson and Yarmi Dibble, of course, walking around Ratke, just trying to reassure him. He ran very, very free to the start. And you see Yarmy, of course, known in Newmarket as the horse whisperer, trying to reassure Ratke that there's nothing to worry about, to relax, that this is going to be all right. You see him rubbing him down and trying to, look, he's talking to him and just whispering to him that this is going to be okay. This is a very, very serious horse that oozes class, has won 6 Group 1s, but you can just see him. He's getting very, very upset. And Philip Robinson talking to Yarmy. But
well, they're down at the post now. There is Rakti. I don't think you're perturbed, too worried about his antics so far, Ray, are you?
No, not in the slightest bothered, really. I mean, as the boy was saying, he's always going to be a little bit hyper when Philip first sets him off. But he had him after they went 150 yards, good as gold. Yarmy's got a hold of him now. He won't be going far with Yarmy on the end of that rain, I'll tell you.
Well, let's have a look at his one run this season. It was the Lock-in Stakes. Mac Love and Hurricane Allen, who reopposed today or in the race. He made most of the running in this, and he, for a mile Group 1 race, to win by 5 lengths takes some doing.
It does. I mean, Philip had them all in trouble 3 out, and he had plenty of horse under. All you can see now, furlong to run, he just starts to stretch away from them. He's a very, very high-class horse. And I think this track will actually suit him a lot better than Newbury. Philip will be able to put him over to the rail, maybe let him bump him into the rail. He'll just freewheel him a little bit, and he'll pick up and straight and away he'll go. He's going to take a lot of beating.
He certainly will. If anything beats him today, or they will have put up the performances of their lives. And victory today will take him almost, but not quite, almost to earning £2 million. Now let's have a look at Christophe Soumillon's mount, Valixia. Horse has run in this country once this season, a God beat at Newmarket's Craven. He won very well last time. All the time he's been dropped down in trip. Last time his victory was over 1 mile and 1 furlong, a little shorter today for him, but he seems to have bags of speed.
Yeah, he's got plenty of class about him, this little horse. Now, owned by the Aga Khan, must have bought him sometime during the winter time. I think that what this fella needs is a good hard run race. That's what they tried him further. It was effective, but I think really he's got enough speed to carry up this distance.
Okay, he's also from last year was placed in the French Derby and ran okay in the Arc over much further. Let's, I think, have more news on the betting. Rakti had touched evens. Is he bigger or shorter now, Angus?
You can get evens on the rails, but I've got a feeling it might well go 10 to 11. I don't think it's going to go odds against. Evens, there are 1 or 2 people who are down here who are prepared to lay it, but I think it's 10 to 11. It's going more like evens. The interesting one is the top one, Akimbo. That's gone 20 to 1 from 33s. Really good support for that one. And also the bottom, Valixia, that's been back each way. People have seen what's happened to the favourite. They want to be on the French horse each way at 4 to 1. But Hurricane Allen in the last few minutes has also been backed from 22 to 1 into 16 to 1. But evens Ratke, if you fancy it, take that price. So Ratke 10 to 11, now 4 to 1 bar. That's Valixia. It's 13 to 2 Stagecraft, but Ratke just gone odds on 10 to 11.
So shade of odds on, but your money 10 to 11 at the moment, and he certainly looks well enough down at the post. Let's have a look at some of the other challengers. Starcraft to start with. If we get a very close look at him, you'll see he's branded, which is something they do to Australian and New Zealand horses, isn't it?
Yeah, they're all branded over there. It's like having a freeze mark number on them, but they're all branded over there. He's a grand looking animal, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Big, powerful type horse.
Yeah, and it went down pies here, absolutely beautiful. If I was going to get on one of the paddock, this is the fella I'd be walking up to.
Down here at the mile start, just down here at the mile start in Yarmy and Philip Robinson, they're doing an absolute fantastic job with this horse. They've really relaxed him. You can see him talking to Philip, and the horse is really being reassured now because he got wound up. As you can see, he hasn't really sweated up, and that even money could be a good price now because the bookmakers panicked when they saw him running away. But this is very much back under control now. You can see that this horse is very, very good. I'm happy if you're on Rakti.
So it won't be too long before they start to go around behind the gates to load up. Nearest to us is Babadone of the Lincoln win of last year, but the big H on the jacket is Martillo, the German horse. He's running 2 Royal Ascots. The one problem for him, I think, is the ground today, because all of his wins are come on much softer ground, although he has a bit of form on fast ground.
Yeah, he has some form on fast ground, but most of his form usually comes on very soft ground. They usually race on soft ground in Germany. But he's a nice type of animal. He'll run a nice race, but I couldn't see him winning.
Comes after a decent win in France, but that was on good to soft ground. So much easier for him. There's Hurricane Allen. Ryan Moore riding him today. This is unusual because Pat Dobbs normally rides him.
Yeah, Dobbs, he usually rides him. Got a spare ride last week in the evening somewhere, and I think he broke an elbow. So we'll wish Pat well, and hopefully we're back soon.
Yes, 16 to 1 chance, but he's a decent horse, this. I mean, he's been placed in lots of good races.
He's a very, very smart horse. Usually pops up, wins a nice Group 1 or a Group 2 somewhere. But he'll usually give his good run into it. But the strong pace will suit him here.
There is Akimbo, Henry Cecil's trained runner, 20 to 1 chance. Already been pestered by Mr. Passad this afternoon, this horse.
A good type of animal. He's not over big, this horse. He has got bits and pieces of form, and you can see he hasn't had a lot of runs, so he more than likely has had training problems in his career. But he's a bonny little horse.
It's by King Mambo, who was a St James Palace Stakes winner of many years ago, out of All at Sea, who failed to stay. She placed in Oaks, but she was better. She won a Moulin, didn't she, later on in her career? So very good breeding. Pastoral Pursuits hasn't won over this far. One race at this level, which is last year's Prix de la Forêt at Longchamp, got beat in that, but it comes from a shrewd trainer. It's a big race to run in first time out in this.
Very surprised to see Hughie Morrison have this horse in here. Must obviously be showing a lot at home. Yeah. Hughie does not chance his arm unless the horse is going to give a big run.
So it's an interesting one. We certainly, for each way bets, we certainly wouldn't put you off that.
Certainly not at all.
There's Prince Kirk, talented, but he is a bit quirky, this horse.
He certainly can be that. He does some funny things sometimes, but he has got, on a good day, a good performance in him, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him thereabouts.
25 to 1 chance at the moment. They're already going forward into the gates. Rakti about to be led forward. Well, let's go and get the view of Jim. You satisfied with him now, Jim? He was a bit on his toes beforehand, but he's calmed down since he's been at the post.
He's calmed down a lot, Ian. Yes, Yami's done a wonderful job with him and Philip Robinson down there. 11 to 10 on Rakti, 4 to 1 Velixa, 7 to 1 Australian horse Starcraft, New Zealand bred. Martillo, 14 to 1 as Rakti comes forward. What a brilliant horse he is on his day. He's winning the Lock-in Stakes last time. It was one of the best performances over a mile seen in Britain for many, many years. Now coming forward is Prince Kirk. Akimbo will be the last then to join the line, and they'll be set for this Queen Anne Stakes over a mile. Rakti still got the hood on, and he'll take that hood on off as soon as the last horse moves forward. Akimbo go forward now. That's it. Hood's off and away they go. What reflexes. Rakti is not that well away in the centre. Out wide Akimbo began well. Up there is Starcraft on the near side, and Babadana is searching for a handy position as well. Velixa right there on the fence. Further back is Hurricane Allen, who's eased out of it early, and Starcraft and a bit of bother on the inside. But Rakti eventually got to the lead. Rakti leads from Akimbo, the pink cap, the outside from Babadana in the red blinkers, the centre. Then in the green jacket, Velixa tucked away on the inside, followed then by Pastoral Pursuits, and Prince Kirk is further back as they pass the 5. Starcraft with the red sleeves and cap, hard ridden on the inside. Well back is Martillo at this stage, followed then by well out the back Mac Love as they swing the corner now, and they've just got just on a half mile to travel. Rakti on the far side, the leader from Akimbo. Then in third place Velixa, followed then by Babadana the outside. Prince Kirk in behind them. Further back is Starcraft, Mac Love, then Pastoral Pursuits. Martillo behind them, and further back is Hurricane Allen. 2.5 furlongs to go. Rakti on the far side. Here comes Velixa on the outside. The big danger now as they race up inside the 2. Velixa takes it up now from Rakti. Is finding little. Further back then Akimbo's gone very wide. Starcraft is running on for a place. A furlong left to go though. It's the French runner Velixa who's 2 or 3 in front. Rakti's trying to come back at him. Velixa tying up a bit in front. Rakti battling on from Starcraft, but Velixa goes on to win the Queen Anne by a couple of lengths. Rakti was second, third then Starcraft, fourth Mac Love from Akimbo, then Martillo. Further back is Pastoral Pursuits, and they're followed by Babadana. Further back is Prince Kirk and Hurricane Allen. Velixa in the colours of His Highness the Aga Khan, trained in France by Andre Fabre and ridden by Christophe Soumillon, goes on to beat Rakti. Third is Starcraft. Fourth is Mac Love. Fifth is Akimbo, very wide in the straight. Sixth is Martillo. A gap then to Pastoral Pursuits, 7th. Babadana 8th. Prince Kirk is 9th. looking way back then to Hurricane Allen, who's last of the 10 runners. The winner is number 10, Valixa, owned by His Highness the Aga Khan, trained by Andre Fabre, ridden by Christophe Soumillon. Second, there is Christophe Soumillon. A whoop of delight as he crosses the line. And where's the whip gone? He's got rid of it. Second is number 8, Rakti, ridden by Philip Robinson. Third, number 9, Starcraft, Darrell Holland. And fourth is number 4, Maclove, ridden by Gary Carter. Now the distances were 1.5 lengths and a length and a time 136.64. The winner at 4-1, Valixa. Rakti, the 6-5 on favourite, and Starcraft at 7-1. But Christophe Soumillon, he's absolutely delighted after that victory.
And with due reason, because I think that's Christophe Soumillon's first Royal Ascot winner. We had Kerrin McAvoy register a debut win in the race before on board Chamadel, and now Christophe Soumillon, ultra confident. He's always been a man blessed with plenty of confidence, and sitting there on Valexia waiting to pounce. I think if he watches it back, he'll start to think maybe I went too soon, because Rakti did start to get back into the race. Starcraft has run on well and run a very decent race after a long break to take third place, and Akimbo hung right across to the stand side, but has still finished fifth for Henry Cecil, who has a big chance in tomorrow in the Jersey Stakes with Camacho. But the winner here has, I think, taken advantage of the fact that Rakti wasn't at his best. Let's be honest, not at his best. Still creditable enough to finish second in a Group 1, and he's still an ultra good horse, and Valexia is very talented. But I wonder if they met again, what the result would be. A £20,000 supplement was paid by the Aga Khan. It's paid off, and Andre Fabre registers his first winner at the Royal Meeting since Banks Hill back in 2001.
Yes, and the other point about the race is that in the last 9 years there's only 2 trainers ever won it, which was Vince Arur and Michael Stout. So,
and neither of them had runners.
And they hadn't runners today, so they couldn't win it. But the horse, Valixa, he was always going well. He was in the box seat, and Christophe Soumillon, all he had to do is wait and for his, just wait until the Rakti had finished, or when he thought he'd cracked. And when Rakti, he saw signs of Rakti cracking, he moved. And as you said, Claire, I think he just might have gone a little bit too soon. But being by Trempolino, he was always going to be able to stay this horse. When he last ran and he won at the
Prix d'Isfahan, yeah,
the Istahan, he did a very fast time.
And he beat Elfstrom, who runs later this week, Australian horse.
And of course he beat Elfstrom, who had actually ran third in the race that Rakti won in Newbury. Yeah. So I don't think you're right what you're saying about next time. I think this horse is better than Rakti. Full stop.
Okay, well that's fair. Fair enough. Absolute fair enough comment.
There you go. And of course you've got the third horse, Starcraft, the horse coming from Australia, who is a very decent horse on his own right down there. He's come here. He is a very heavy horse. He weighs 560 kilos. This was first time out, so maybe he would improve for the race. That was a good race.
Right, the winner coming back, Valixa, and at the time 136.64. Distance is a length and a half, back to 3.5, then 1.5, 2.5. So they were certainly well strung out in the time compared to the previous race. There is His Highness the Aga Khan, just in the top of screen. And Christophe Soumillon there. So you may have seen Christophe Soumillon discarding his whip there. When he won the d'Ispahan, there was quite the slow motion of that when he actually drops his whip is quite amazing, and that is the reason Ian Bartlett tells me that he got rid of his whip as he crossed the line. He discarded it. He won't be worried about that. He'll find another one somewhere. But the time, just comparing it, it is faster than the St James's Palace Stakes, and of course you'd expect it to be. The 3-year-olds ran 137.18, and the older horses have run 136.64.
I'm with the winning jockey, Christophe Soumillon, a broad smile on his face and applause from the crowd. Christophe, you ride this horse with so much confidence.
Yeah, today it was a perfect run for him because we had a good draw. And I know before the race that Rakti, thank you, won't go in front, and that it was one of the best horses in the race to follow. So I just keep him waiting, don't go in front too early. But Rakti didn't go fast enough for me on the 400, so I need to go out and just let my horse go, and he do it like a real champion today.
Christophe, do you think he is the best miler at this? Certainly in Europe.
But you know, the thing is, he run like a mile and a quarter horse because he's always one pace, and when he come, he do it easy. He never have a real rush. But like he win today, I think it's one for sure of the best horses on the mile because Rakti is a real champion. He won 6 Group 1 races, and to beat him today like that, you need to have a real champion.
And where's your whip now?
I give him to the people.
Christophe, fantastic ride, well done.
Thank you very much.
Can we pick up, please? Well, from the winning jockey to the winning owner, His Highness the Aga Khan, we're so used to seeing horses that you've bred and owned, but the big lot that you bought from Jean-Luc Lagardère, it seems to be working out very well.
Yes, it is working out very well, and I had never had horses with André Fabre before, so it's a new relationship with an outstanding trainer. And as Christophe was riding for me in any case, the arrangement worked out extremely well.
Well, it seemed to be working very, very well today. And the good thing about the horse, we're just watching the replay again, and he really did streak away. In fact, if anything, Christophe may feel he went a bit too soon because Rakti started to get back into it.
That's exactly what happened. It looked as though Rakti wasn't going to go on, and I think that Christophe found himself in front a little more early than he expected.
Now, has this horse surprised you today?
Yes, in the sense that he's improved, and in the Ispahan there was some uncertainty about the other horses around him, and here he was clear all the way.
Now, you've got a very exciting week because, of course, we look forward to Azamor, who's taking on Ouija Board.
Yes, that'll be a good race tomorrow.
He must be one of your favourites.
He is.
That's it for now, is it?
For the moment.
Okay, just a word on the filly Vadouina. Yes. How is she?
She's all right. She was operated this morning. It was quite a severe fracture, and I'm not sure she can run again. Probably not.
Ever?
Ever.
Which is a great shame because she was hugely talented.
Yeah, she was very talented.
And back to more positive things in your win today. How are you enjoying Royal Ascot, relocated here to York?
Very nice. It's the first time I've seen so many people with top hats at York.
And I suppose coming in by helicopter, you didn't have the traffic problems?
No. I actually had a lot to do today, and I have a lot to do now, and I'm going away and then coming back for tomorrow.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and a lot to do. You have a trophy to pick up. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
His Highness the Aga Khan, the winning owner of Valixia.
And Valixia was the 4-1 second favourite and very well backed, particularly each way, and won at 4-1. That race was decided by when we saw on the big screen and you at home, Radke going down, touched even, supported with the offices late on, beaten at odds on the 5-6 favourite, and third number 9 Stagecraft at 7-1. But Valixia wins for France at 4-1.
The winner, Valixia, is by Trempolino, the Arc winner, 1987, out of Vadla Mixer by Linamix, a very good miler, of course, outstanding, and bred by Jean-Luc Lagardère, the late Jean-Luc Lagardère, and part of the horses bought at dispersal by His Highness the Aga Khan.
Well, all the big names are here at York. We had Sheikh Mohammed receiving the trophy in the race before now. His Highness the Aga Khan receiving the trophy from the Earl of Halifax, who is chairman of York Race Committee and also joint owner and breeder of the 1978 Dante and Derby winner, Shirley Heights. So Lord Halifax, well known in racing circles and here at York. But let's have another look at this fascinating race because it was almost like watching a movie. This camera is going to give us a close-up of Rakti throughout the race, but also you will see Valixia, who's on the rail, and you'll see Starcraft, who finishes third, and a big run from him, from the Australian challenger. But Rakti here actually not running away. He's not been crazy.
No, he's not running crazy. He's a horse that will stay further than this. And you see Christophe Soumillon, he is in the box seat. He's getting the drag, the pull, whatever. His horse is relaxed. His horse is going very much within himself. You can't actually see that, and you can see there that Philip Robinson is just holding his horse, making sure that he doesn't run away. But everything, and actually you can. There's a horse here I noticed earlier that just stumbled, but it's
Pastoral
not there.
Pursuits, I think it is. That's because this camera will be close on Racti. You might not see Pastoral Pursuits, but I think it's because they're coming around the corner so quickly. But what you will see on this camera is a Kimbo who's running a big race start to drift right out of shot. And I saw Henry Cecil, who said, well, he's run really well, but wouldn't he have run so much better if he'd stayed with the others?
That's without a doubt. If he'd ran straight, he might have been third or fourth. You know, he'd have been a lot closer to them. Now you can see there, Christoph says, I've saw Crackty. He started to push him.
Crackty. You just called him Crackty.
Did I?
Yeah.
Racty.
Racty's cracked is what he saw.
Okay, well that's what that was 2 words in one. He saw the crack and he went for it, and of course he might have just gone that slightly little bit soon, as you said, and it's given Racty a little bit of a chance to stay on, and he does stay on. And then of course the third horse has ran a cracking race, hasn't he? He has ran, because that horse is first time out, hasn't ran for a long time, and will be better for the race. I think that was a very, very good race indeed.
It is, it's high class, and I'm feeling guilty actually. I see what you say about when I was saying if they met again maybe it would be different, because actually Racty hasn't chucked his toys out the pram, because normally he's either first or he's fifth or zero.
Now,
but today he's been second.
If you had put those horses the opposite way around, you had the other horse making the run, and you just might have seen a different result, because it's just the matter of the other horse having the pacemaker and done for him.
Well, I'm sure you've got an opinion at home, and if you have, you can email us or text us. The text number 81111. You can email via the website, or there is a fax number as well, which I'm sure will be coming up on your screen shortly. There it is, because I couldn't remember what it was. 01904 707 567. Lots of emails and texts coming in. We'll go through a few of them later, but let's see a bit more of the fashion here on the first day of Royal Ascot at York. Here's Susie.
Thanks very much, Claire. Well, yeah, the champagne corks have been popping all day. The bubbles have been flowing. The goosebumps are definitely here, and the legs are rather blue with some of the ladies. But the gentlemen, well, they're okay, aren't they?
Well, the gentlemen are always going to be warm in, marvellous morning coats. I'm actually quite impressed to see the grey three-piece coming back this year, led by Prince Charles, no less. And it's lovely to see at York so many grey three-pieces and grey top hats after so much black.
There's a gentleman just walking behind us, just as you mentioned,
quite right,
as if on cue. Let's talk a little bit more about the men then, because we've been talking about the lovely ladies all day. Are there do's and don'ts? I mean, cravats or ties here at Ascot at York?
Certainly ties, and certainly quite tightly knotted, because you tend to see cravats at weddings, really. When you're seeing pastel satin cravats, it's when you're marching down the aisle. It's certainly not for the races.
And what about regarding colours? We're seeing some of the men that they look fantastic. They're wearing very bright ties. Is that okay here?
I think bright is okay, but it's rather nice to see the sort of excitement in the waistcoat. Really, you still want to block colour. You don't want patterns on your waistcoat, because again, that's like for weddings and a funeral. But your colours are fine as long as they're in blocks.
Seen some beautiful floral prints with the ladies, haven't we, today?
I just think florals are eternal. It's always lovely to see them. I'm not so sure about that Fandango costume that I was just looking at.
Well, the photographer seems to like it, though, didn't she?
The photographer, that's what the lady was dressing for, the photographer. So that's a very interesting hat, rather fun. Love the black and white. Nice to see the print. Super sensible shoes. I've been besotted by this colour today. See this very pale pistachio. It's very aristocratic. I'd love to see the navy with the fichu collar. It's almost like an Edwardian skirt. I'm not so sure about peep-toe sandals, frankly, and crochet for the races. Great for Ibiza.
There's some gentlemen looking rather smart.
Well, I think that looks marvellous. You've got to be careful with a striped tie if it isn't a club tie. If it is, then you're home and dry, but you never want to be seen in one and look as though you're trying to appear to be wearing a club tie.
Now, it's quite chilly today. I mean, the wind's still blowing, and I think tomorrow it's going to be raining. We did have that email, didn't we, from that lady that said, what shall I do? I've bought this fabulous outfit. It's cost me a fortune. I'm going to ruin it if I come tomorrow. And we sort of had a joke there. But what do you do if you spend a fortune on clothes?
Well, unless you go to enough sort of swanky events that you can actually reuse that dress, then I would damn well wear it, actually. But I would have a very tall chap with a very big umbrella escorting you everywhere.
James, I think that's possibly your best tip of the day. Ladies, bring tall gentlemen with big umbrellas for tomorrow.
I'm just joined by a couple of jockeys who finished down the field in our last race, the Queen Anne. Steve Drown, who was on Pastoral Pursuits, and Darrell Holland, who was on Starcraft. We'll start with you, Steve, because this is you here. That's Darrell, by the way, on the rail. This is you, Steve, though, because you had a little bit of an incident on the bend.
Yeah, I mean, I had a nice little posse. Mine's also, he really does want decent top of the ground. Just turned in on the apex, and I think you've probably just missed it there. Henry Sesshorse was in front, but he slipped up quite badly, you know, and from there he sort of half lost his confidence, and I just wanted to give him time to get back in the race and check he's okay.
And you were happy at that point, were you?
I was happy at that point, yeah. He's a very settled horse. He was giving me the right vibe, you know, like saying once horses slip that badly, you know, it does unnerve them.
And how about you, Darrell? How was it for you?
Yeah, he was fine. I would have liked to have been a little bit closer than I was, but he wasn't really quick enough to hold his position early on the loose ground. But he came on really well. I was delighted with his run first time up.
He's just on the left of the eventual winner there in the green colours, and he's going to find improvement, is he?
I think he will. I think you know, if he runs in the Cora Eclipse, I'd fancy his chances. Actually, was delighted with him.
Okay, well, I'll let you go because obviously you've got to ride in the next race, Darrell. But we've been joined by Philip Robinson, and Philip, if you'd like to come in here and we can talk about Raachti, because you had your work cut out pretty early on, didn't you? This is the closing stages where you've been bested by Velixir.
Yeah, I think his race more or less was blown on the way to the start. He definitely took off a bit keen, and was got himself a bit wound up. So not taking anything away from the winner, very, very good. And my horse hasn't stopped, but he just hasn't quickened like I think he would have done if I'd have been able to conserve a bit more energy.
The signs were there in the paddock, weren't they? He was a bit jumpy the moment you mounted.
Yeah. Oh, he was on edge today, and which is just the way he is. Some days he's that way, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Bit of a Jekyll and Hyde character.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Certainly, Michael Jarvis was worried on the way. There you are on the way to post. And what does a jockey do at this point? What can you do?
Just do your best to pull him up as quick as possible, because he's not going that fast. But what he is doing is just burning up energy, and he's fighting you, and he's a very, very big horse. And I was just pleased to get him pulled up when I did, because if we'd have gone much further, I would have probably had to start thinking about taking him out at the start. But I was happy that I pulled him up where he still had a chance to win a race after the distance we went doing that. But as I say, if we'd have gone another furlong or two like that, I'd have probably took him out.
And how about once you got to the start? I understand you were quite annoyed with something that happened down there.
No, it wasn't down there. It was actually what set me off like this was as we walked out onto the track. Some woman was leaning over the rail and she started clicking like mad, and that's, you can't do that with a horse like this, and that's all we needed to set him off, and he went.
Well, as in to get the
exactly,
attention.
click like mad, and we told her to please stop, and she just carried on.
And the thing is that's using up vital energy that he needs right at the end of the race.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you couldn't have wished for anything worse to happen than that, so there you go.
Frustrating for you, Philip, but thanks for talking to us.
We'll be back another day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really interesting stuff there from Philip Robinson. It's a pretty difficult job being on board a racehorse at the best of times, but when it's got a very fragile temperament, it makes life even harder. Well, these runners for our next race, the Ascot Stakes, are unlikely to have that because they tend to be older horses. They're stayers as well. It's over 2.5 miles, so just by that fact alone, they just tend to be much more relaxed types. They know what it's all about, and they look very calm. And Willie Carson just went off inside. So Martin Pipes won this race 5 times. He's got 2 runners in the race, but we can't find him.
I don't think he's here, that's why.
Oh, well,
I just saw Martin Dwyer standing, chatting away there, but there was no Martin Pipe there, so we can't have a word with him.
No, he's probably watching at home. Singapore was the one I was interested in.
Well, maybe his helicopter was the weather was too bad for his helicopter.
Well, to be honest,
sorry about that, man.
He hasn't been that well of late, so I should think he's watching from home. But if you just spin around here, you'll see this huge collection of owners,
yes.
And there are 4 jockeys as well, and there in the tartan waistcoat is Mark Johnston. He's got 4 runners in the race. He won it last year. We'll have a word with him in a moment or two. He's just talking to Karen McAvoy, who had his moment of glory earlier in the week, and he rides Contact Dancer. Now, lots of emails and texts coming on, including one here from Australia that says, Claire, glad to see Jim is on fire with his tips, enjoying your coverage, maybe a little too dry for Starcraft and too far first up. Good luck in the carnival. Regards, Naish McGrath, who's Jim McGrath's brother. Yeah. Now, Lynn Cattell in Wakefield
nothing
says...
about cricket.
No, nothing about cricket. Don't go on about that, because 2020 doesn't count. That's what the Australians will tell you. Now, Lynn wants to know, this is from Wakefield, where does the name Godolphin come from, which you know?
Oh, he's a very famous racehorse.
Well, there were 3 that originally the thoroughbred stemmed from.
Arabian stallions that set off the thoroughbred many, many years ago. And of course...
which was the Godolphin Arabian?
Bali Turk.
The Bali Turk and the Dali Arabian.
And the Dali Arabian. Those were the 3 stallions that came over. And there's a very famous painting, I believe, wasn't it by Stubbs?
Talking of which, there's a Stubbs exhibition opening at the National Gallery next month.
That is where the Sheikh Mohammed picked up the name. Of course, it's going back to Arabia. And Godolphin was a very nice name to have.
Just one bit here on cricket. This is from Al Williamson in Scotland.
You said no more cricket?
No. Can you ask Willie why on Sunday he referred to the English success as us, and when talking about cricket refers to England as we? When did Perth become part of England?
Perth, Scotland?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't
You're
come
from
Perth.
Stirling, aren't you?
I'm from Stirling, but not far away.
Well,
but,
you take his point.
I'm sorry about that, but when there's England playing, I support England. When Scotland's playing, I support Scotland.
Yeah, because you're the kind of guy who'll do that. Now I'm going to grab Deirdre Johnson for a word, because A, she looks fantastic here in yellow, and also she's probably been riding all 4 of these horses at home, because she rides out as well, incredibly busy as a trainer's wife. Now, is Mark going to win this again?
Well, his banker, he said of the meeting, was Swift Sailor.
Oh, really?
We would have liked a better draw, but I've kept saying Cuisine's mine and Swift Sailor's his, so I think he's hopeful. Very.
Cuisine is a horse that Rishi Prasad has a share in, because he's that rich. And he runs on Friday.
That's right, yeah. And he's in great form too. So I think, Secret History, if we had any more rain, she runs in the Ribersdale. So we've got a few good chances, but I think Swift Sailor and Cuisine are certainly top of the list.
And this is a race that Mark likes to have. Well, he's got lots of runners again today, but he loves to have runners in this.
Yeah, absolutely. We love these distance races. You get time to enjoy it. It takes time for the whole race to go through.
Exactly, 2.5 miles. It'll go on forever. Well, I hope you're enjoying it here. It's not so far for you to come.
No, it was nice and easy for us this morning. We had a nice lunch, and hopefully we'll end the day on a good note.
Brilliant, thanks. That's Deirdre Johnson, wife of the trainer Mark. They have 4 runners in the race, and she's recommending Swift Sailor as their choice. He'll be carrying top weight of 9 stone 10. Kevin Darley takes the ride. Well, let's get a word now from Rashid, the owner, who will be standing in this paddock on Friday, hoping that Cuisine can do the business.
Yes, I must admit I've been dreaming about that day for the last couple of months, really. Good chance, I heard Deirdre talking about. Well, she's got a great chance.
You're fibbing, you've wanted it to run in the Derby.
Well, exactly, so you must have a great chance on a handicap. Anyway, Lydia and I are just going to reflect on what's been a great day so far up here at York. First of all, Lydia, Shamardal's performance. What about, just how good do you think this horse is going to be, or is?
I think he's tremendously good. He was the champion 2-year-old in Europe. There was that little bit of a worry when he ran in Dubai on the dirt. He was they were trying to direct him towards the Kentucky Derby on dirt, and in a way, he perhaps rushed him into that trial just to see whether he was good enough to go to America. And he bombed out and ran too freely for his own good. And great credit to the horse. He's come back and landed 3 Group 1s in a row. Bang, bang, bang. It's really impressive. And it's just the way he does it, out in front and just finding more.
Well, funny enough, the favourite for the Queen Anne Stakes is a horse like Shamardal, who's disappointed and bounced back. And having won the Lockinge Stakes, Rakti disappointed in some eyes today. Claire, immediately after the race, actually said that she thought that Rakti disappointed. I must say that I thought you've got to give credit to the winner. I think the first 3 pulls so far clear. The Elixir was on merit, a top-class winner. But my whole day has been spoilt by the fact that having spent a morning with Rakti, I couldn't even recognise him when he arrived on the course today. But never mind, hopefully I'll recognise 1 or 2 in our final live race. Let's get the details now with June.
Thanks, Rishi. Let's have a look at this Ascot Stakes, 2.5 miles. And they started the 5, which the first or the second race did today, go up to the judge, and then that loop. This is an innovation at York. They go around there and complete the loop, go down the back and up the home straight again. Let's have a look at the runners and riders for this Ascot Stakes. A handicap over 2.5 miles. 1 is Swift Sailor, Kevin Darley. 2, Contact Dancer, Kieran McAvoy. 3, Coconut Beach, Kieran Fallon. 4 is Dr. Sharp, Robert Winston. 5, Golden Quest, Greg Fairley claiming the 7. 6, Penny Pictures, Johnny Murtagh. Number 7 is King Revo, Jamie Spencer. 8, Mr. Ed, Jimmy Quinn. 9, Lowlander, Pat Smullen. 10 is Ben Deshan, the mounted Royston French. 11, Leg Spinner, Big vibes about that from Ireland today. Fran Berry. Number 12 is Mesmeric, Daryl Holland. 13 is Ski Jump, Paul Hannigan. 14, Christensen. Tom Hamilton claiming the 3. 15 is Sporting Gesture, Dale Gibson. 16, High Point, Simon Whitworth. 17 is Myth Hill, Eddie Ahern. 18, King Ida, Alan Munro. 19, Yankee Doodle Dandy, the mount of Richard Quinn. And 20, Cinderpaw, is Martin Dwyer. 20 go in this Ascot Stakes. They're down at the post. And good to hear from you, Naish, in Australia. And I hope you had a little bit on Cheneur earlier in the day.
Well, this is a popular favourite, this Swift Sailor, but it's a different type of race. If you're on at home each way, you'll get the 4 places here. The full value, quarter of the odds, the first 4, 21 a handicap. And Swift Sailor's been backed in from 6 to 1 to 11 to 2 and 5 to 1 in places, and now showing the 5 to 1 favourite. Coconut Beach has also been supported. 7's into 13 to 2 and popular, with Mr. Ed also supported at 7 to 1. 1 or 2 shrewd judges have backed Lake Spinner at 8 to 1. That will be a popular winner, and Contact Dancer is 12s on the drift out from 10s, but back this morning. There was also a move this morning for Penny Pictures at 14 to 1, and any move for King Ida would be significant. Shrewd connections there, 14s out to 16s, but that's an interesting one with King Revo solid on the exchanges at 14 to 1. The remainders are outsiders, 20 to 1 and upwards. Swift Sailor, though, the clear market leader. They've done 6, 11 to 2, and now it's 5 to 1.
The favourite there, Swift Sailor, only had a few races. We're not sure he'll stay the trip, Ray, but he's gone 2 miles 2 furlongs in the Chester Cup, which is good enough. Today's 2 miles 4.
I think he'll get the trip quite well, and I actually think this track will suit him a lot better than Chester. He's a winner up at Musselburgh. It wasn't a very good race, but he strode home there. I think Kevin will pop him out. He'll be in the first 3 or 4 all the way. And though he has got an awful lot of weight, 9 stone 10, I think he's quite good enough to win this race.
Question about the ground, because it's quite fast. He's never run it before. The stake is loose. Will that help him a bit if he's never raced on fast ground?
I don't really think the ground's going to bother this fella.
OK, that's the favourite. Kevin Dowley rides for Mark Johnston. There is Coconut Beach in the blue and orange jacket. Kieran Fallon riding this horse. He was 5th, so he was 3 places behind Swift Sailor in the Chester Cup. And there also would be a question mark for him about the ground.
Possibility. This same applies to this fella as to Swift Sailor. He'll need a nice gallop, and I think Kieran rode him at Chester, and the race was a complete mess for him. So I think Kieran today will pop up. He'll be a lot more positive with this fella, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him maybe even go up and sit in front if no one makes the running. Will improve on his Chester run.
There is leg spinner number 11. Used to be trained by Mick Shannon, has now with Tony Martin in Ireland. Man who likes to lay horses out for big, valuable handicaps in England.
A very, very shrewd trainer, Tony Martin. There's a move for one. Well, if Tony Martin brings a horse over here, it is fancied, never mind whether it's backed or not. This horse gets well handicapped in here and has got a good squeak in.
Certainly the ground will be no problem for him. There is Mr. Ed. He, as well as being fairly decent on the flat, he's also a very good jumper, isn't he?
He is a very, very tough performer under both codes. He always runs his heart out. If he runs over hurdles, if he runs in the flat, he'll always be there. You can have your money on him as regular as clockwork, and he'll always give you a good run. And he's going to be there again today. Jimmy Quinn rides, and he always wears these cheek paces. Don't be put off by those.
It's his first run on the flat this season, but he was actually run over hurdles at Haydock in May. You saw him run up with Mr. Cool. There is Kerry McAvoy on Contact Dancer, another one of the Mark Johnston trained runners. Has won as a Zarowich, this horse, so 2.5 miles around here is not going to be any problem for him.
Not in the slightest. He's drawn it wide out on the track, so he's going to have to use a bit of speed to get up early on. He'll be up handy with the pace. A tough, honest, genuine horse.
And won't have any problems with the ground. Here's Golden Quest, Greg Fairley, young jockey, claiming £7, won on this last time at Haydock, and it's nice to see that Mark stays with a £7 claim, because this is going to be a bit of a rough, tough race.
Yeah, but I haven't seen much of young Greg, but I mean, Mark Johnson putting him up, he must be a very capable young man. He won on this horse at Haydock and gave him a very, very nice ride, and I should think Mark will be quite delighted to take £7 off with the capable boy.
Let's have a look at Dr. Sharp. Robert Winston rides this in the probably magenta or something. A terracotta, sorry. Green cap. I must get it right today of all days. Runner-up behind Golden Quest last time. Good on his stare. I just wonder if, for a race like this, the handicap has just quite got him.
He's got plenty of weight for what he's done, this fella. And I would prefer others. He's got a good chance, but I prefer others in this race.
There's been a really good gamble going on here on Swift Sailor. I saw plenty of 6 here, and it's now 9-2 from 11-2. Coconut Beach is also supported, and Mr. Ed. Now, it's an incredible market, really. There are a lot of horses being backed, and horses that were supported earlier on, like Leg Spinner, Contact Dancer, well, they've really taken the brunt of this, and they're going out in the betting because of the support for the front 3. Swift Sailor, though, very popular round the country. People are thinking 4 places. If I'm on each way, I won't lose if it's first, second, third or fourth, and they're backing it accordingly. 9-2 and a popular selection.
Trainer to follow in this race is definitely Martin Pipe. He only has 2 runners this year. This is Penny Pictures. Will like fast ground and had a run over hurdles at Kelso last month, so he's going to be fit.
Yes, he's ran over 2 miles 6 furlongs at Kelso. He's fit, and but he hasn't got a lot of form on the flat, this horse. His form over jumps is a lot better than it is on the flat, but he's got sufficient weight for what he's done.
This is going to be our last race on the air. Not too many more chances to get emails and texts and faxes in, but we will have lots of time tomorrow. And just one last one from Mark Hodgkinson, who says Mr. Ed cannot be beaten in the 4:55. We'll see whether he's right or not. Cinderpool is going to be one of the last to go in. Here's Jim.
Yes, locked away. There's the favourite, Kevin Darley aboard. Away they go. 2.5 miles a trip here. And Dr. Sharp over on the far side was one of the first away. Ski Jump was up there early. So too Swift Sailor looking to cross over now. They've got a very long run before they reach the first turn. In fact, over half a mile. So Cinderpool goes on early from Dr. Sharp, and up there as well too in third is Golden Quest. Coconut Beach taking up a handy posse, and over on the far side is Penny Pictures. Lowlander on his outside. The well-backed Leg Spinner not that far away. Out deeper on the track is Yankee Doodle Dandy, and back in the field to Mr. Ed is parked on the inside. Bendashan is looking to get over. They're going to meet this turn in about 2 furlongs time. Further back is Myth Hill, followed by Christensen, and back in the field is Contact Dancer, Karen McAvoy. About third or fourth last then is Sporting Gestures as they head up now towards the judge with just over a circuit to go. They're followed then by Golden, I should say High Point is out the back, and last is Mesmeric. Passing the judge, they've got just under a circuit to go, and the leader is Cinderpool on the inside. From up in second, Golden Quest as they swing out of the straight. Yankee Doodle Dandy's up running third on the outer, swinging very sharply left-handed now. In behind them, Dr. Sharp, who's parked on the inside, the red jacket. Further back then, Swift Sailor, who's very handy, followed by Lowlander. Then Penny Pictures, the red and white on the inside. Then in the centre, next in the field is Ski Jump as they head now towards the back. Further back is Bendashan, giving them a fair start from Christensen. Mr. Ed on the inside of runners. They're followed by Sporting Gesture. High Points out the back, and Mesmeric as they head into the back now. And they've got short of 12 furlongs left to travel. And it's Cinderpool who's out in front here. From in second, a Golden Quest. In third, Dr. Sharp tucked away on the inside as they head down the back from Yankee Doodle Dandy. They're followed by Lowlander and Penny Pictures the inside. Heading further down the back, Coconut Beach not that far away, just preceded there by Swift Sailor as they head into the back. Leg Spinner tucked away on the inside. Ski Jump's handy enough. Then the white jacket of Christensen, who's further back in the field. Mr. Ed is parked on the inside of runners as they head down the back of the course now and nearing the mile marker. It's still Cinderpool out in front from Golden Quest, and then in third is Dr. Sharp. Yankee Doodle Dandy is fourth, followed a length away then by Lowlander. Penny Pictures tucked away on the inside of the favourite Swift Sailor, who's beautifully poised. They're followed by Ski Jump, and Leg Spinners had a charmed run throughout. Bendashan is further back. They're followed by Coconut Beach. Well back is Ski Jumpers at this stage, followed then by Sporting Gesture, preceded by Mr. Ed as they continue their journey over the side of the course now and past the 7. Cinderpool shows the way from Golden Quest. Up in third is Yankee Doodle Dandy. They're followed then by Dr. Sharp the inside, then Swift Sailor, who's wider out now but still poised from Bendashan, and Christensen is back in the field as they start to swing left-handed now towards home. King Ida's behind the leading group in about 10th position as they swing the corner. A pack of horses with 5 furlongs to travel, and it's Cinderpool out in front from Golden Quest and Dr. Sharp. Penny Pictures behind them, followed by Lowlander, Coconut Beach. Then out wider is Swift Sailor, called hold on for an effort now from King Ida. Ski Jump down the outside from Yankee Doodle Dandy. Mr. Ed is trying to get up on the inside from Myth Hill, and they've kicked away from King Revo and Sporting Gestures as they pass the 3 now. And it's Golden Quest on the outside who ranges up to grab Cinderpaw. Leg spinner called on for an effort, is trying to get through. Here's Swift Sailor on the outside. They're followed by Penny Pictures. Coconut Beach down the outer from Ski Jump. Anybody's race in the Ascot Stakes. It's Golden Quest grabbed now by the well-backed leg spinner. It's leg spinner on the near side who ranges up. They've kicked away now from Coconut Beach and Ski Jump. 100 yards left to go. Leg spinner. Golden Quest is fighting back the far side. Leg spinner the near side. They race towards the line. It's going to be tight. Oh, it's a photo. Leg spinner and Golden Quest. They're 8 legs clear then of Coconut Beach. Tight for 4th too between Ski Jump and also the favourite Swift Sailor. They were clear of Mr. Ed and further back King Revo. Then Dr. Sharp from Mr. Ed. Contact Dancer well back, Cinderpaw, Mesmeric, Sporting Gesture, Myth Hill. King Ida is next, Bendashan. We've lost one in the straight there as well. But look at that. Leg spinner might have just got it on the near side from Golden Quest. It's a photo, and they're 8 lengths clear of Coconut Beach. Photo 4th. Near side is Ski Jump. Top of the screen is the favourite Swift Sailor. That's a photo. Leave that to the judge. Mesmeric just behind them. Then Mr. Ed in the centre. King Revo is next. Then Dr. Sharp, Contact Dancer, Cinderpaw. And they're clear then of Penny Pictures. And a long gap then to the others. They're coming in at long intervals. Let's check. Here's the result coming to hand now. Stand by. First number 11, leg spinner. Second number 5, Golden Quest. Third number 3, Contact Beach. 4th was number 13, Ski Jump. Leg spinner, Fran Berry is the winner. Trained by Tony Martin, owned by W.A. Moffat and ridden by Fran Berry. Landing a fortune in bets, well fancied and backed off the map. Second number 5, Golden Quest, Greg Fairley. Third number 3, Coconut Beach, Kieran Fallon. And 4th number 13, Ski Jump, ridden by Paul Hannigan.
Ascot Stakes for trainer Tony Martin. He won it with Barber Papa in 2000, but it was a race with plenty of incident. Look towards the back of the field and you will see a horse go down. It's a really horrible fall, this, and it was number 16 High Point that we lost. Simon Whitworth was down on the ground, and we'll wait for news of whether he's up and all right. It looks like he clipped heels or something happened. In the straight as well, I think there was an incident where Myth Hill came off worst of it, because I saw Eddie Ahern come past the winning post with his feet out of the stirrups and riding almost bareback. In fact, he lost his stirrups in that incident, Eddie Ahern did. I could see it just on that last shot we saw. So, and you can see him there, the red cap. Do you see White Colour's red cap in about 10th place? He's got no stirrups now. He was involved in that incident that Simon Whitworth ended up on the ground. So High Point and Myth Hill certainly knocked each other over. But look at this finish between these two at the end of 2.5 miles, for there only to be a short head or a head in it at the end.
Well, Fran Berry has got the experience over the 7-pound claim, and Craig Fairley. Now, you must remember that this race is 2.5 miles, and for a 7-pound claimer to get his horse to come back at Fran Berry is very, very commendable, because it is a very, very tiring thing to ride over that distance. And when you're 7-pound claimer, you're not quite as fit possibly as you should be.
You can see the real contrast here, because Fran Berry, who knows how to use his whip and really strong. On the far side, that's Greg Fairley, the 7-pound claimer, and he's just using hands and heels, which probably is the right thing to do, because otherwise he'd just unbalance the horse.
But I'm trying to say, he's nearly won the race. He's a 7-pound claimer. He's done nothing wrong, and he's been beaten ahead. Yeah. Unfortunate. But Fran Berry, he's done nothing wrong. His strength has won the day for all those punters who have backed him. There's a lot of money for this horse, and Fran. The horse from Ireland, he's got the money, and you can see all those people there. There's plenty of them. They're all happy. Had a Royal Ascot winner. Good luck to them. But my heart goes out to Craig Fairley for not just winning a 7-pound
nearly did it, didn't he?
What a day he would have had if he had won this race. And Kieran Fallon finished third on Coconut Beach on The O'Brien horse that ran a good race as well, but I just hope, my heart's thumping, because that is where I had mine for on Silken Knot.
Was it? Well, I hope Simon Whitworth's all right. We'll find out shortly.
We're in the winner's enclosure here, and I'm very excited. Tony Martin. Tony, it looks as if this success means a whole lot to you.
Yeah, I was very happy for the man that has him. I had the horse for a little while, and he's a good friend of mine. And like he said, we were planning a while ago on Touchwood. It's seldom to come off, but that did.
You're pretty good at making these plans come off. I mean, you've won this race before with Baba Papa. I mean, how long ago had you targeted leg spinner at this race?
Well, a while back we picked him out there over the winter, and we thought he'd like the better ground, and lucky enough it came. And also in the spring the horse began to come too, so all fell into place.
Was there a moment halfway up the final furlong when you thought that the runner wasn't going away?
Well, I thought Fran just got there a bit early, gave me a bit of a fright, but no, Fran rode him the last time, gave him a great ride, and he's come on a lot from it, and Touchwood we held on.
Sounds like there'll be a lot of celebrations tonight, Tony.
Oh yeah, they're a good bunch that has them, so we'll go from there.
Well done, enjoy it.
Thank you.
Cheers.
First, number 11, Leg Spinner at 9-1, and those that followed the positives of Mike Dillon this afternoon, well, he's had 4 winners and only Radke let him down. Second, number 5, Golden Quest at 12-1. Third, number 3, Coconut Beach at 11-2. And fourth, number 13, Ski Jump at 25-1. Leg Spinner, popular, good result for the Irish this, 9-1, wins the races.
That was Fran Berry, who just weighed in. This is Robert Winston sitting on the scales, and there's the winner. Scored officially by a head, 5 lengths between second and third, and the time 4:26.74. And great point made by Willie about Greg Fairley, the 7-pound claimer, who was there right at the finish, right at the death at the end of 2.5 miles. He was always in the first 3, and it was a really grueling race and a great test of horse and rider.
Well, we won't be too much longer on the air. We're just waiting for news of Simon Whitworth to find out whether he's all right after that fall. But you were saying how you were worried you were because it happened to you.
You saw the horse turning over, and I think it might have landed on him. I was just hoping that it hasn't done, And when you're in a pack of, it's not your actual fall. It's the horses behind you that do the damage. And he was in the pack there, and the horse did roll over, which is normally not a very good sign to see. So, well, hope that he's okay.
Well, we'll hear news from Lydia or somebody else in the weighing room. We'll get news as soon as we possibly can. But let's just round off our coverage today. We're going to show you some of the headlines of the day. But first of all, let's go to Susie and get her wrap of the day in terms of fashion.
Thanks very much, Claire. Yeah, I've given up with my hat. It's too windy, as gorgeous as it was. It's been a chilly day, but good fun. Some nice sights.
I think it's been an extremely well-dressed first day, yes.
And Linda, for you, you've enjoyed the day?
Oh, I've had a great day. I think the skirts might be short, but Yorkshire ladies have got great legs.
On that note, I think we'll leave it until tomorrow's fashion. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Well, I'm joined by a couple of jockeys who had quite nasty incidents in this race. First of all, Simon Whitworth, you can see that he's perfectly well. What happened, Simon? Talk us through this incident.
Well, I'm just travelling, I'm going round sort of the outside, I'm taking the easy route because I've settled in the rear, and I just totally lost my feet. And he just slid from underneath me, and I think a couple slipped in front of me, and then my horse just totally lost his feet.
And what would you think is the cause of that?
Well, if you watch Pastoral Pursuits in the race before, just after the last race, after Raxey's race, they've asked to put some sand down there, and I think it's just generally slippy.
Okay, and Eddie Ahern was also riding the race. What happened to you?
Yeah, my horse's hind leg slipped from underneath him and went out. And when my horse slipped out to the right, I dropped to the left. And lucky enough, I was able to grab a good hold of the mane and push me back into the saddle. But I wasn't able to get my feet back in there and to finish the race. And it's a terrible thing to happen in Rhylasca, slipping on a bend.
And is there concern in the jockey's room about the state of the ground out there? Because those are 3, if not 4, slips that we've seen.
Yeah, it is a concern. The second race I rode in, and Richard Quinn rode in the same race, and I was behind him, and his horse just slid off to the right. And lucky enough, he was able to come back and get into his stride again. But there is a few jockeys reporting that the ground is slippy out there.
Well, hopefully they'll do something about it tomorrow. Thanks for talking to us, Eddie.
No worries.
Most importantly, Simon Whitworth still in one piece after that really nasty incident. Well, the day started off with the first horse past the post being one that had no jockey on it at all. Imperial Sword got loose before the start of the Coventry Stakes and galloped full tilt down in front of the stands. He got caught eventually, but this horse didn't get caught. Red Clubs, the winner of the race proper, trained by Barry Hills and ridden by his son Michael, the first winner of Royal Ascot at York. In the Flying 5 Furlong King's Stand Stakes, Cheneur won the race for Michel Delzongle of France, his first runner in the race. Second was Boogie Street, and third was Moss Vale, another one for Barry Hills, running a big race. Godolphin made a very late decision over which horse they wanted to run in the St James's Palace. They came down on Charmadel, and he came home easily in front, beating Ad Valorem and Rocamadour in third.
That was an easy pick, but I didn't think he'd win like that. You know, he really quickened up and put it beyond doubt, so we passed the two. It's showing that he's tough and he's versatile. It's great to see him bounce back from a bad run in Dubai. You know, champion 2-year-old last year, and it's great to be associated with a horse like him.
First Royal Ascot winner for Karen McAvoy, but this was the very unhappy sight of Philip Robinson trying to control Racti on the way down to the start. It may have had an effect, it may not have done. He finished second to a very good horse, Valexia, coming home in front to give Christophe Soumillon his first Royal winner. Huge celebration from the Dutchman. Threw away for
whip now.
I give him to the people.
A brilliant victory there for Valexia. And just news on Charmadel, the winner of the St James's Palace. Sheikh Mohammed told us afterwards that he's now on course for the Coral Eclipse and he's going to take on the Derby winner Motivator, and he says bring him on.
That's going to be a fantastic race, isn't it? Absolutely. A Motivator over 1.25 miles and Charmadel over 1.25 miles, which we would suspect is his best distance. That is going to be a race. The Derby winner against a real up-and-coming
Well,
fella.
tomorrow, though, we've got 5 fabulous races once again on the BBC. We'll be on air at 1:45. The Royal Procession will happen just before 2 o'clock. And the first race is due off at 2:30. That's the Jersey Stakes. We had an email in asking about Henry Cecil and what's happened to Henry Cecil. Well, he has a very good horse in that called Camacho. The Prince of Wales' Stakes at 3:45 is one of the highlights of the week. Azamore is in that for the Aga Khan. Also Ouija board over 1.25 miles. We haven't seen Ouija board for quite some time since she won the Breeders' Cup last autumn. The Royal Hunt Cup, that's a big handicap over 1 mile. A reduced field this year. Ascot done for the Queen over 5 furlongs. So BBC One and BBC Two again tomorrow. Tonight you can catch up on all the highlights of the first day of Royal Ascot at York. Richard Pittman and Norman Williamson presenting that. It'll be on BBC One at 12:15 in the early hours of the morning, which will be way before you go to bed if you're out celebrating tonight, which you will be because you'll like that.
Hasn't the day gone quick when you're
really quickly? I know.
When you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah. We've seen some stunning performances, some stunning fashions as well. The rain has held off, which is a big relief to all of us here, and we'll be back again for more of the same tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye.
Hey, little girl, comb your hair, fix your makeup. Soon he will open the door. Hey, little girl, better wear something pretty, something you'd wear to go to the city and dim all the lights, pour the wine, start the music. Time to get ready for love.
Africa Lives on the BBC.
I'm an American who happens to be black.
Every young black man goes through his Malcolm X phase.
He's not an icon of what?
When you look at Beyonce, the first thing you think is Beyonce. Then she's a black woman.
Look at her, she's a guru, she's a role model.
Incredible courage.
He's like sunshine.
Today's Black Voices celebrate their Black icons. Out of Africa, Saturday at 7:55 on BBC Two.
You gotta talk the talk.
Coming in second to me is like coming in last.
All right, I'm on top of it.
Why is no one listening over here?
Or you gotta walk the walk.
You're fired. It's a waste of time. It is.
You're paranoid.
Can you tell me what's going on?
Let's keep our eye on the big picture here.
Who do you think should go?
Don't miss The U.S. Apprentice Series 2. Coming soon to BBC Two and BBC Three.
If you were me, who would you fire?
What's the problem with this man? And what's the problem with him? And we all know who her problem is. But what's the problem with these two? And him? And here? And them? And what's her problem? Well, how long have you got? Find out exactly what's the problem with me, Anne Robinson, Friday at 9 on BBC One.
And her ladyship's here on BBC Two now. What's her problem?